Mayo experience.
That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. Experience. 5, 4, 3.
And at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on Mayo Media Network for a pure Q&A. And if I add anything to the betting card beyond what I release in the newsletter today and what I say on this show, I'll throw it on there because I can't help myself, Tambo, that I'm going to be sitting here. I'll be like, well, there's like 12 hours until the Masters starts. Might as well lose some more money. That's my logic.
What's going on, Pat? Excited to be back. First major of the season. And that is the logic I think a lot of people have. I did note it yesterday. It's funny. You don't win a green jacket if you win a bet or a DFS tournament at the Masters. So I'll take a win any week, but there's a lot of good contests this week, a lot of good opportunities to make some money out there. So hopefully we can find our way to that path.
Well, a quick overview on what's been going on, at least in the DFS streets right now, or even the betting streets, from what you have seen, because I haven't talked to you since we briefly looked at the Masters pricing at the end of last week's show. I mean, I've been digging in. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with my lineups. What are you seeing off the hop? Does it feel like everyone is just congregating towards the same 5 guys?
I think, yeah, that's what's very noticeable. And you and I do this on every show we do together, so I'm sure we'll get there eventually. But the pockets that you always talk about are very prevalent. Like you can just easily tell what they are. Like there is no way people play Ludwig up top when there's Scotty, Rory, Kawa, Rahm, Bryson, X. Boom, Ludwig's the guy. And then it gets even more prevalent, the other ranges that you go to. So while it will spread out throughout some of the other ranges in DFS, there's going to be guaranteed plays that are just super popular and that get even more popular in the high stakes stuff.
Want to remind everyone to smash the like button while you're here and sub to Mayo Media Network in the comment section after the show has concluded the live run, because I won't see it if you put it into the live chat. But I want to know who your favorite play in the $6,000 range on DraftKings is, because I think that is probably where you can not necessarily get the most different, but I'm seeing it kind of a bit more spread out. Whereas Tambo talked about in terms of pockets in the 10K, the 9K, 8K, and 7K, there's about 5 guys at the top, then two that everyone just wants to try to jam into their lineups. In the 6Ks, it's a bit more spread out. I want to know who you are using in the $6,000 range this week. All of my ownership projections and how I build my lineups are going to be powered by Fantasy National. If you haven't done it yet, you can get the Masters discount, 20% off fantasynational.com, fantasynational.com/Mayo. And Tambo, I went and looked at the Underdog drafts. There's 3 of them, 50K to first, 50K to first, 40K to first, starting tomorrow at the Masters. None of them are 50% full at this point. I just fired off. I maxed out the $50 one. I put 100 lineups into the major season one and 100 lineups into the scramble. It was super easy to do. I just went and built my rankings on Underdog and just set those as my rankings and then just mass entered on autopilot as many as I can. So I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be doing that today.
Yeah, I think a lot of ways to get your money in this week, and that's part of it. So in a lot of different places. The one thing is over on some other sites in that they're getting filled in certain spots, but even the same, you said, it's just too many places to put money this week. All the pools got the one and done still rolling, excited for that. So there's just a lot of good things happening right now.
Yeah, if you use code Mayo at Underdog right now, you'll get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000, and you can use that bonus money to do your drafts. That's probably the best hack that you can do for anything. Plus, they have a Bryson free pick for all new players on Thursday, an automatic winner you can throw onto any of the pick'ems. But here's the biggest thing. I think we'll do this in a little bit, Tambo. They have to make and miss the cut on Underdog now.
Oh, nice. Right up your alley.
I know. We'll build out a banger for the people out there, and I'll have the official. I'll give out mine that I have right now when I get through the bets, the make the cut parlay. I'll have the official 2 in the newsletter being released later on tonight. Once I finalize where I'm at, I'm not just playing 1 or 2. These are my favorite things to do. And I don't have everything collected at the top of the board yet. I still need to figure out who's going to be the one stud golfer at decent odds I actually bet this week. So I want you to help me out with that. But I want to start out with some news from what's happened over the past 3 days before we get into the weather. Justin Thomas changed his caddy. He now has Max Homa's fired caddy, or his caddy who quit. Does this worry you about JT, or is this just a non-factor for you?
No, also it's kind of speculative, right, on what really happened, because his actual caddy, that Matt Minster guy or whatever, sounds like he has like a back injury. So is this just because, for the week they're kind of doing this thing? Because you've seen JT and Homa have these bets and battles back and forth on X, just chiming in on each other's stuff. And obviously, Homa posted that it was not his choice. So is this really a thing, or is it actually what they're saying and he's just covering him for the week? That's the question.
Would it dissuade you from taking JT if that's the way that you wanted to go?
No.
Me neither. I would be, if I was in on JT, this would be fine. He'll have Joe Grenier on the bag at the Masters. I wonder if he's related to Entourage's Adrienne Grenier. We could have a Vincent Chase on the bag. Vincent Chase's dad on the bag for JT.
Vinny Chase, man. What a great show. That's definitely a good show. I don't watch too many of them, but that was a great one.
It was a great one for a while, and then it got exceptionally bad.
I was good with it. There's worse shows. I'll say that much.
All right. The Masters champion dinner. 2 takeaways. Did you see the photo?
Yes.
Okay, so Phil looks like the crypt keeper. It's kind of hilarious. I can see why he's constantly wearing aviators and a hat at all times. And do you think he goes out of his way to look as ridiculous as possible in these photos every year?
Now, that's what I was just going to say. So you got there before I did. I was going to say that. And I forget who the guy is in the front row. Is he like Larry Mize or something? I don't know if you have the picture, but the guy that's like down and to the left of him is kind of just the same thing, but much older. But then you also look at DJ, who's 2 spots above him, and it's kind of like what DJ will look like 40 years from now when he's sitting there, if he's still sitting there. Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, I still can't fathom. I've never seen Nick Faldo in person, but he looks like he is a giant. He is standing in the back row, and he still has the biggest head on this picture.
It's double Mike Weir's head.
Mike Weir looks like if I was in this picture. He's just happy to be there and just like duck down behind people.
You do have Mike Weir vibes, actually, not just the Canadian aspect, but if you think about like what you look like right now, you're a smile, put a green jacket on you and fit you into it, which I know you did in a different thumbnail, but if you put you on Mike Weir, you might just fit into the crowd and it'd be the same guy.
Oh yeah, that guy does look like the Crypt Keeper now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
I think that is Larry Mize.
That's what I thought. Maybe it's not, but you know what I'm saying. And then now look up at DJ and then kind of put the two of them together. If you had a side by side, it's like an age transformation. If you did AI and transformed over the time at this picture, it would be DJ eventually.
The other thing that you can look at too is there's a race to see who has less hair by the end of this, Danny Willett or Jordan Spieth. Every year you look at this photo, it's just less and less and less. One of them is going to go like full shave, like full Michael Jordan at some point.
Yeah, the only other one I saw was Patrick Reed. He's really has a hard time smiling. It's like very forced. You can just check it out. It's like he's monitoring everything he's doing while trying to show enough teeth, while trying to do something to make him seem happy. It just doesn't seem like he's happy. He's just forcing it.
Hideki is always I've never seen Hideki smile on the course ever. He is the happiest person ever to take these photos. Every year, just take a look at Hideki, big smile.
Oh, by the way, his dinner, my favorite probably that I've seen in the last X amount of years. His Masters Champions dinner.
Really?
Yeah, so it depends if you like Asian cuisine, but he had like different like sushi and all these other options there. It was definitely my favorite meal by far.
I'm looking at Scotty's right now. Cheeseburger sliders, firecracker shrimp, or Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. That sounds like something that Scotty ate when he was 4 years old.
Sounds like something Scotty still eats, probably. We know he's a good chef in the kitchen. We heard about that story over the holidays.
So those are the appetizers. I'd probably go. Would you go with the sliders on that?
I would. Or there's firecracker shrimp, probably. I don't know. They're both. I think we lost you.
There we go. I'm back. We got you on the line. It's the Masters. Everything's going. I ran so hot in March, Tambo, that everything is going wrong for me in April. I'm really hoping that the Masters really puts this up. You know, I had 3 guys with a chance to win across 2 tournaments. At Valero, none of them came through. I guess I hit Minwoo, but that was technically March 31st. So since the calendar is flipped, one of my kids got sick with strep throat. The moment they go back to school, the other kid gets norovirus. And then they're finally okay today. What happens last night? My son throws up all over me in the middle of the night and comes in because now he has it too and has to miss more school. Driving on the highway, boom, blow out a tire in a pothole. It snowed last night. I woke up. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I haven't got sick yet, but I would imagine when I wake up tomorrow to enjoy the Masters, it's my birthday this weekend, that I'm just going to be throwing up for 8 days.
Hopefully not, but if there was another way to be sick without vomiting, it would be a good time to be sick because you could just watch the Masters. I know a lot of people get their little mini surgeries done before the Masters, all these different things. You hear them sitting on a bag of ice to sit home and watch the Masters. That's the perfect time to set it up if you're going to get snipped, is one that I've heard of.
Did you see Scotty has the sniffles?
I did. He said he's not. A little bit of sniffles aren't going to stop me.
Did anyone ask if he was hanging out with DJ?
I think a couple of people posted that. I saw a great one of like when they're cleaning up the football field in real time, and it's like they're cleaning all the snow off, and it just shows them sweeping, and then going different directions until all the lines of snow, quote unquote snow, are gone. And that was what they suggested might be happening there.
Yeah,
No stairs, Paul.
Yeah, if the practice round was DJ Brooks and Scotty, I mean, I don't know what world Scotty wants to go into, but that's probably not the right one for him.
I don't think he's ever going into that world. But one quick question, now that you said the practice round, did you see that you can now track the practice shots? And Max Homa took 247 and Bryson took 240. He got outdone.
So who does that mean you lean Homa over Bryson?
That doesn't mean either. You know how I am. I just think it's hilarious. It's getting blown up. Someone said, what does this make you think? And it just makes me think it's just another dumb stat that we can track that there will have no way to quantify beyond, one tournament where we get these stats out or something.
I would infer it two ways with both different players. This just, I don't know what the regular Bryson range session is, but this just strikes me as something Bryson would do every event. He's like, I'll just hit the most balls.
Feels like it. I mean, Max Homa, they're going to say it. He's searching for something, got a lot going on. Baby number 2 on the way, by the way, too. We got some baby swag for Homa maybe, but, or nappy factor, if you will, whatever you want to set it up as. But I think in general, maybe the caddy thing's weighing on him too, plus the game not being in the place that he wants it to be. But crazier things have happened. We had your boy. What was his name? What's your guy? Where's he at right now? The amateur. Man.
Clanton?
No, your boy that I always make.
Shipley? Thorbjornsson?
No. The guy that was crushing here for like the first 2 rounds. And they were like, man.
Oh, Sam Bennett.
Sam Bennett, your boy. Sammy B. Bennett. Yeah, you got him. If something like that can happen, Homa can bounce back and have a good week. I'm not going there, but just to say it, it's definitely possible.
That's actually one of the things I'm most curious to ask you about when it comes to the DraftKings picks is which one of these guys in terrible form do we kind of have to jam in because no one else is?
Oh, man, I don't even know. But that's one of the things when we get to it of like the pivots in certain spots, like it's everyone's on Sergio Garcia, but you have other guys that are all the same right around. Maybe not, considered the same, but that's where you can bet them. You can play different markets with them. Same with like Reed. If you go down to 6Ks, it seems like people like Spawn. There's other options there. So I don't know, Bobby Mack and Connors with your boy Akshay just above them. But there's a lot of good players that we would usually be touting or saying are like, these guys are better than this price that are around the guys that are chalk at that price. So that's where we can see sort of what it looks like.
Victor Hovland is putting a new driver into his bag for the Masters. That's always fun. And he's debuting that sweater. That sweater was awesome.
Yeah, I saw that. We got tagged in the Victor Hovland changing something. Surprise, surprise. What else is new? But I loved his 8 Mile reference yesterday. And I think it was Rick asked him the question and he answered it back saying, it's kind of like that. Just let him know, everything bad about yourself. And then we're here. What do you want to say now? And so I posted out the little GIF there with him tossing the mic over to Papa Doc. But I just think stuff like that is cool when guys go out versus Colin Morikawa. Shout out to C Powers asking the best questions. I think Feinberg called it, said he put him in a word blender. This guy's explanation on being able to talk to the media or required to or obligated, however you want to frame it up, was absolutely incredible. You got to go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. It literally made no sense. It was the Billy Madison ending where the guy's like, we all just got stupider in this room for that answer. I had no clue what he means, even by the end of it all.
You strike me as a big 8 Mile guy.
I can do all the freestyles, Pat.
If there was a movie in my mind that I would have to associate with you, it would be 8 Mile.
That's coming on the next thumbnail. But yeah, I love that shit. I know that stuff.
Key groups. And I always like to look at this for all of the majors to see who gets paired with who. So I have some that are just featuring all of the main guys. Just give me your quick thoughts on this. Morikawa, Neiman, Minwoo. I think that's a good pairing for all 3 of them.
Yeah, feel fine about that. Yeah, and I think Neiman's a guy we'll talk more later. But yeah, let's leave it at that.
Weirdly, I think Neiman is starting to become maybe a bit overlooked coming into this from a DFS perspective. I'm not betting him outright to win, but it doesn't seem like anyone's going to use him anymore.
No, I agree. And it feels like they're going to talk themselves into other guys above or below before they go to him and just not trust that factor. But it's interesting because even his bad major results, we'll go there now, I guess, is they're very, even if you go to the Masters, the last couple of years, it's like 16th and 22nd. That's 1 or 2 strokes away from being something more serious that people would be interested in. So, and he's been playing much better. I know it's on Live and whatnot, but these are some big time events that he still won, even though people won't give it credit for it.
The other group, the next one, Scheffler's playing with JT in one of the amateurs, Ballester, or Ballester if he's French, which he's not, but if he was, that's how you'd say his name. I don't know if this is good for Thomas or not, although Byron said that you can just bet JT low second round score of best second round score, 30-1. Just do that.
Yeah, certainly what he does. If you go back and look, it's like starting to get a real sample size now too. But I think it's because he's one of those guys that once it's over after round one, just fire away in round two, and he typically does better. So when he's overthinking it, which I'm not sure what's going to happen, we've seen this in the past though. Obviously, small sample and really hard to quantify. But guys that get like a new caddy on the bag and all of a sudden get the W, right, or something like that, or have a good week because they're just not overthinking a lot of stuff. They kind of just have to go with their own thing. So I don't know. I like JT this week. I think he's in a pretty good spot. I definitely have interest in JT here.
Well, that will come down to one of my final decisions at the very top of the betting card because I had this 30% boost that I can deploy, and I need to figure out who to put it on to make the odds better. I think I have it whittled down to 4 guys, and I need to make that 1 guy. So that's where I'm going to need your help. The other group, Spieth, Hatton, Tom Kim. I kind of wish Tom Kim wasn't in this group just because it's going to take like 84 hours in order to play this round. Like get someone a bit quicker in there. But Spieth with Hatton is must-see TV.
Yeah, I wonder if it's friendly Tom. Tom gets so fired up. I wonder if he kind of keeps the peace amongst everything and just makes everybody happy. But there's going to be people all over the place. Spieth could be anywhere. Hatton, I think, is really interesting this week because he's, especially in DFS, he's another guy that he fits the Ludwig up top. He's the guy in the 8K range. Like people will still make a case for, obviously, they're playing Lowry and Henley, but there'll be Min Woo. Cantlay will be, he's too cheap. Guys above and below. There's just no way people can play Hatton here. And Hatton's another guy, almost like Neiman, where we were saying, like, he's definitely one of the better players. It's just he gets overlooked, and he's definitely getting overlooked this week. So that'll be interesting to watch.
I think the case is more compelling to overlook Hatton just because he's had the one decent Masters. That was last year, weird weather year. All the other years with normal conditions, he hasn't been very good. And at least with Neiman, and besides Sergio, he's been the best player on LIV. He's won twice, and he has a consistent history of getting better at the Masters basically every single time. Whereas Hatton has 2 good finishes in his career, but he is playing ass golf for all of 2025. He just hasn't been good.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. That's why, hence, no ownership when we get to DraftKings later, and no one even talking about the guy outside of now mentioning the group that he's in. But what's your Spieth take, real quick? I know we're leaving Tom Kim out, but where are you at with Spieth just early on in the show?
David Jane posted this, I think, in 2015, and it will be burned into my mind forever. Of Bart Simpson at the chalkboard, do not fade Jordan Spieth at the Masters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's on a pattern effect. I can't remember. I looked it up yesterday, but
is it male baldness?
No, male pattern baldness. No, that would work though. But it was I think it was like 3rd miscut, 4th miscut. So now he's due to come in the top 5 again, right? Is that what it was?
I believe that's what it is. Yes. So Koepka, Henley, and Sungjae. This couldn't be a more boring group to me.
What's more interesting is I don't know if you look that far ahead, is they put Brooks behind Cantlay.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's a wide gap though. I think they left like 20 minutes, 17 or 20 minutes or something. But other than that, I guess what the only thing that comes to mind there is what's up with Brooks. Where are you at on this guy?
I have no take on Brooks, really. I think he could play well. I don't think that any part of his lead-in form would indicate that he is going to play well, but I don't think that really matters with him. If you're a Brooks guy, I'd say you play him. If you're not, I think there are other guys around him who I just not even trust more. I just like more.
It's for DFS later because they're $100 apart. But Brooks or Decky, if you could only pick one,
probably Decky.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. It's hard though. I've never really been a huge Brooks guy. Not personally, like playing him in DFS a bunch. I missed a lot. I was on him when he won the U.S. Open that year, or whatever. The first one, and I was happy about that. But other than that, I haven't really been a huge Brooks guy in DFS. So probably play those guys around him. Neiman's just below, Matsuyama's just above, and I told you I like JT. Xander's there too. So lots of guys in that range.
Adam Scott, Xander, and Hovland. If Adam Scott misses the cut, I might have to mortgage my house.
Good time. Rates are lower. You can get in there, but I don't know. Adam Scott is a guy that always, seems to pop up in this spot. I don't know if he's getting as much love this week because there is other guys like Sergio, Reed, Berger, Rose. Seems like people are all playing somebody in that range, so it should get pretty spread out. But for from a golfing perspective, I think it's interesting there, and it just him in there with Xander and Victor, and Victor, coming off a win now. So we'll have to see sort of how that goes. But changing the driver, doing more weird shit. Who knows with Victor Hovland?
I'm out on Hovland. I mean, Hovland can go ball strike all he wants, make all of his putts, and finish T4. He can most definitely do that. I just don't believe that. Yes, he won the tournament and he gained 1 million strokes putting while doing it, which he had not done at any other point throughout the course of the season. The irons have been good. The driver's been whatever. But just it's almost like Bryson. I'm just grouping a bunch of these guys who can't chip all together. That doesn't mean they can't have spike performances and do well at Augusta. But I think just the downside, Ludwig's going to be the other one. Like Ludwig can't chip either. That worries me.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. And again, I don't think anybody's doing much with Ludwig this week anywhere, are they? Like, even maybe one and done if they're way behind and they have them and they want to try and use them to make up ground. But I don't feel like people are very confident in him. He's expensive on DraftKings. Most used him in one and done. And if they didn't, are they going to use him here with all the other options plus the live options? I'm sure you're doing your underdog drafts. I'm not sure where he's going in those, but I just can't see a ton of people interested in him. So if that's the case, I mean, if he does something here, it was last year that he was in the mix till he wasn't, right? So it's tough to say.
With Adam Scott, I don't know if I'm going to play Adam Scott on DraftKings, but he is just one of the linchpins of my to make the cut parlays because he has now made 15 consecutive cuts at the Masters.
Gosh, it's gonna be a tough one if he busts.
You know why? I mean, someone busts every single year, and the year that the one guy doesn't bust, we win all the money. So just hopefully we just roll it back to back years on the make to cut parlay, walk away with a bunch of cash, and everything will be fine. The scariest one of that bunch, I think he's made 10 cuts in a row at Augusta, is Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that's wild too.
That was the guy I was thinking about when we first started talking about this. Of who is the guy that no one wants to play that maybe you might just use in like a main lineup on DraftKings? That was the guy I was thinking of because he's going to be like 2% owned, if that.
Yeah, and he also can just find his way around sometimes. We've seen it, not even just going back to the major that he won, but just in general, there's different events and times that he can pop up and actually find the upside, not just be a sixth man or a fifth man to make the cut for you, because you're going to need Hoop. My boy yesterday said it was you needed 6-6 plus at the Masters. You need the winner. You need 6-6. You need the winner, and you need the other 5 to all actually do something. You're not going to get away with 2 guys finishing 40th or 50th typically, right? You gotta really have something out of everybody here, and that's the key.
I wrote it up in my column this week. You can find that on X or in the newsletter, all free right now, about historically what the winning lineup looks like in the Millionaire Maker. It's the winner in second, another guy inside the top 5, 2 more inside the top 10, and then one guy. It doesn't really, I mean, it does matter where he finishes, but you don't need him to be super high up on the leaderboard, but you need him to wildly outscore his position. Yeah. Like a 1 year Bubba did it. I think Bubba came in 30th and was 9th in DraftKings scoring.
Yeah, Eagles and streaks and under 70, whatever it might be, but it's like that's kind of the key. And on the flip side, you could just get both. They could outscore and finish up there for you as well, like within the top 20. So it's like if one or the other you have to have on your sixth man. So we'll talk about that when we get to roster construction, but Fitz most certainly feels like a guy that could just pull it off and do it and not just be your 32nd or 35th place. He could actually top 10 it or something and find his way up to the top. So I like that call.
Yeah, you just have to hope the driver and irons don't absolutely sink him, and he has one of those weird Matt Fitzpatrick weeks where he chips everything in and makes every putt. That's basically his only path right now, is like the shittier version of Cam Smith.
Yeah, those chip-ins all add up to what you said. It's the extra scoring that you get out of it, and then it's the extra position placement. It's like a win-win with Matt Fitzpatrick when he's having those weeks for you. But I think a lot of people think when we get to DFS later, that's going to be Patrick Reed right here for $100 less. And
listen, I love Patrick Reed this week. I'm not going in on chalk Patrick Reed at the bottom of the sevens. I just can't do that.
Yeah, it's him and Sergio are by far it's funny. I don't know if it's because of the live bump as well, but we just saw the Miami stuff. They were both up there. And then on top of it, now they move over here with the pricing being so low that I think people just want to get in on that. But there's a bubble there that we'll talk about. There's certainly a huge pocket in the 7K range, and Fitzpatrick is where it starts.
Final 3 groups: Rory, Ludwig, and Akshay. This is probably my favorite threesome ever to lead the Masters.
Yeah, that's fire. We love Akshay this week too. I know you do, and you already got the bet and stuff. I'm not sure how much more you're going to stay in on this guy, but
yeah, it's if I could take my bet out, which I can't, I probably would, but I can't. So I'm in. Maybe that's a good thing because the guys I really like the week of the Masters always do poorly. I don't really love Akshay anymore, but I'm locked into it, so we got to go.
I definitely don't think he's winning. I never did. But I mean, that's a good bit. But your odds had it baked in. I mean, that's why you took it, right? It was based on the odds. You were happy with the number you got. So, but when we get to DraftKings or pools or tiers and Underdog and pick'ems and made cuts and things like that, I definitely have interest in Akshay. And he's less than the average price on DraftKings, and he's right there with Bobby Mack and Corey Connors. And I'm fine. I like Akshay for sure.
Hideki, Lowry, and Bryson.
That's an interesting one. What do you think? What do you think of Bryson? I guess is the big question because we already talked a little bit about Decky. I think Lowry's great and fine. He's definitely going to be popular. He'll be probably more popular in the higher stakes stuff. But what's your thoughts on Bryson? He's the big one because 9,900 when we get to DraftKings later.
I think he has a better chance to miss the cut than win.
There you go. I lean that direction as well. I know he's playing better and it's a whole different Bryson now and blah, blah, blah. But
it's not a totally different Bryson. So he was the first round leader last year. The epic moment of him carrying the sign. It was pouring rain. The greens were like sponges and he got everything to stick. The moment it got non-spongy, he sucked. He was terrible. He has broken par one time in his last 10 rounds at Augusta.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. So that makes it a little bit interesting, but it's also, if you're good with that, it makes it awesome because then you're going to the guys above or below, and there's tons. With Xander, JT, Decky, we talked about. Above it, you got Rahm, Kawa, Rory, Scotty, and obviously Ludwig, who we mentioned. But yeah, there's lots of options around him, and it looks like he still will get a bit of the Bryson bump. You know, people love to have Bryson in their lineups and in their life, so he could be a guy at 9,900 that picks up popularity.
I've been tweeting out some Underdog plays, but I think that, well, you get the Bryson free pick if you use code Mayo, so you don't need that. But if you're not new, you don't get access to that. So I think my favorite like two banger, if you just wanted to play two for round one, is Rory higher than 70.5 or 69.5 strokes, Bryson higher than 69.5 strokes. Just have them both to shoot even or +1 or something. I think that's how it goes.
And then Rory comes out in his first round leader this year.
If Rory is, I mean, if I was going to, Rory is still on that very short list because I can boost him up to +975. And I'm thinking about it. But if you want to bet Rory to win right now, I actually think obviously you can't do it all because wire to wire. I mean, if he's second after the first round, you would feel just as good. But if he actually has a good first round, I think he's going to win.
Yeah, so I would probably just bet the first round leader, though, because the odds are going to, again, everybody expects Rory just to be the guy that always has to come from behind, and it's always a fake finish because he just, chipped it in out of the bunker the year him and Morikawa did it. That's not really a top 10, even though it is on paper, et cetera, et cetera. But I would say like that, it's kind of the setup there. I'd still be in on him coming out and having a hot round to start it off to give himself a chance. And then if you wanted to go one step further, you could sprinkle a little bit on wire to wire and do it all that way versus trying to get like 9-1 on Rory or something.
Oh, the Bronzy Fane in the chat says, I'm doing Underdog drafts as well. Yeah, I'm in them right now, but I'm not really in them because I'm here talking to you. Like I said, I just set my rankings I have my rankings in that column and in the newsletter. If you just want to copy them or just copy them straight and then just move some guys up and down so you don't have exactly the same ones that I have. And then if you want to go mass, do you think it will end up overlaying on Underdog? Because I really don't know. It seems like it has to, but I don't know how many people are just going to go max 150 and just do that all afternoon.
It's possible. It's I don't know why, but it's like certain things are filling on certain sites, other things aren't. And so how does that actually all end up in the end? Where do people decide, okay, that's the overlay I'm hitting? That's going to be the question. Usually though, Underdog gets there. So will be interesting to see, but I think there's a possibility that it could overlay a little just based on the numbers right now, but I don't know. It's the Masters and people wait to the last minute too. So I could see it filling up also.
The last group that I wanted to talk about, I think has the biggest swing between could be the lowest group or one of the highest groups on the course. Cause it's an ultimate, if things start going wrong, bad vibes group. Rahm, Wyndham Clark, and Tommy.
God.
Like I could see all of them being 3 under after the first round. I could see all of them being 5 over.
I guess that's probably the best way you could put it. I couldn't say it better. That's exactly what I could see there. I was just going to say, because Tommy's kind of the Tom Kim. It's funny. The Toms are always the guy. Tom Kim, we mentioned earlier. In this case, Tommy, it's Tom is going to keep these guys, or Tommy's going to keep these guys in line, I think, to somewhat dial it in. And the other two, it's just whatever they show up as. Rahm gets heated quick. Wyndham can fall apart quick. But if they all play well together, it would be what you said. And I could just see like 2 under or 3 under for all of them.
Well, we're going to get to the weather, the bets, the Underdog plays, the one and done, and DraftKings all in a second. But first, the weather is warming up, which means it's almost time to get back onto the course full time. And if you really want to up your game, you can take the lessons, you can improve your game, but if you're stuck with those old clubs, nothing is going to change. That's why you need to head on over to your local PXG store for a fitting, because they make the best golf clubs, period. I just had mine out for the first time on the course at Pinehurst about 3 weeks ago, and it was awesome. The sound my irons make. I have the Gen 7 irons. They have the chrome top, titanium back. They're awesome. Biggest improvement for me. has been the Black Ops driver. I'm carrying the ball about 15 to 20 yards longer off the tee. I'm not a huge hitter. I was about 225, 230 carry off the tee with my old driver. Get the new Black Ops driver, carrying it 245, 250. Hell, I had a 270 drive carrying bunkers down at Pinehurst number 4 on my last day. Once I was really starting to heat up with my clubs, it was amazing. It was so easy to get the fitting done, and it was the fastest way that I have found to improve my game to a point where I'm ready to tackle any course at this point. You can too. And for a limited time, you can save up to 20% on your entire order. Head on over to pxg.com/PatMayo. That's pxg.com/PatMayo to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/PatMayo. Restrictions apply. See site for details. If you've watched this show for at least 3 minutes over the past 3 weeks, that you know that I went to Pinehurst a few weeks ago. I'm the type of person that's never going to stop talking about that because I had the best time ever. And then one of the main reasons that I was able to have such a good time is that my clubs were waiting for me the moment that I got to the clubhouse, thanks to Shipsticks. I didn't have to wait at the baggage claim, put an air tag in it to make sure that my transfer of planes when I had to do my layover, that they actually made it onto the second plane. No. I didn't want to be stressed out going to have a golf mega vacation. And thanks to Shipsticks, I didn't have to. I sent it from my door. They came and picked it up. I got a text a little bit later on. It was at the shipping facility. I got a text the next day. It was already at Pinehurst. It was perfect. I even put the wrong label that they gave me onto it. What did they do? They called me and said, "Hey, do you want us to put on the proper label for you?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Pat Mayo. I'm a goober. I don't know how to do this. You guys handle it for me." And they did. It was such a relieving experience. I didn't go to Pinehurst to be stressed out. I went to be relaxed, and Shipsticks made that possible for me. And I'm talking about shipping over an international border here, and it still got there in a day, and it made it back to me in 2 days, so I had my sticks ready to go at my door. Right now, Shipsticks is offering my listeners 20% off on the first shipment when you go to shipsticks.com and use the code PatMayo. Go to shipsticks.com and use the code PatMayo to get 20% off your first shipment and save yourself the hassle this golf season. That's Shipsticks, shipsticks.com. And make sure to use the code PatMayo so they know that I sent you. Coming back on the Pat Mayo experience, we're coming up with weather, bets, one and done, and Underdog before we start building lineups with you on the screen with Tambo and I for the DraftKings Millionaire Maker. Smash the like while you're here. If you're on X and you see this, or if you're watching on YouTube, go over to X and share it around. That'd be very helpful. Don't forget, Tambo, I'm giving away $6,000 in giveaways this week. That seems like something people should get into.
I'd be interested.
Yeah,
That's something I'd be pretty interested in.
Yeah, you should. You should hit the description right now, and you'll see there's a $5,000 trip to Toronto. That is for people not in Ontario, but are still Canadian. You go to our friends CoolBet. You can use the link down in the description. It'll bring you to the Pat Mayo Experience giveaway. Jay's tickets, 2 days at the Canadian Open, airfare, hotels. It's all there. You just have to opt into it, and then you just create an account at CoolBet where you can get a... Here's what they did for me, because I bet Shane Lowry at 40-1 on the show on Monday. And then, of course, Shane Lowry, it wasn't just me who bet on Shane Lowry. A lot of people are picking Shane Lowry this week. And his odds got dropped to 30-1 pretty quickly, even at CoolBet. But under their exclusives tab, Tambo, they ensured that you can still get him at 40.
That's perfect. Everybody can be locked into the number you got. Will they give us the Akshay number too?
No, I don't think that. They might as well. Why is Akshay like 65-1? Shouldn't he just be 100-1 now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I said. They should just add that in there, make that another exclusive, and get people over there.
What do you think about the weather this week? Because it doesn't really. I mean, besides being kind of cold on the weekend, it looks great.
Yeah, never a huge weather guy here. I mean, things coming in. People talking about the trees that got cut down and how that's going to affect things. There's all these different factors and whatnot, but not something that I spend a lot of time on doing my stuff. I'm way more focused on what the field's doing for DFS and just trying to play against that.
Yeah, and that's for the Masters. We do look at the weather every single week for some of these other tournaments.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, some weeks there's a huge weather wave edge. I know some people are probably tuning in for the first time. Obviously, we're going to attack different angles when we can or when they make sense, and sometimes get them completely wrong. But the point is that there is different angles to attack. That's not one of the ones I focus on here heavily. So unless there's something you've got special, then to me, it's a non-factor for what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it looks like there could be a little bit of rain on Friday, but nothing to actually stop play, or nothing more than probably half an hour if it actually happens. I doubt it would happen. So besides it being in like the mid to high 50s on the weekend, you might want to get some polar bears in there. Some guys who can handle a bit of the cold weather, maybe used to playing in the cold weather as well. And that's how my betting card is shaking out. So of course, at coolbet.com, I mentioned you opt into that. If you're Canadian and don't live in Ontario, go do that right now. For everyone else in the world, my great pals in America, my friends in Ontario, my friends worldwide, we're up to number 3 on the New Zealand chart. So if you're in New Zealand, you can get in on this as well. There's an additional giveaway for $1,000 in cash. 5 winners, $200 a piece, down in the description right now. You just click it and you can see the ways to enter. If you go share the show around and you make the comment and you sub to the channel, those are all ballots into the draw. If you rate, subscribe, rate, review the Pat Mayo Experience on Apple and Spotify, I believe that's 10 ballots each into the draw. So you should probably go do all of those things. Because why not? It takes like 10 seconds. You might win $200 cash. And I'll be giving away those winners on Monday with Feinberg. Bets I got in so far. Weirdly, not a ton. I probably will have more money in the to make the cut parlay market than anything else. Shane Lowry, 40-1, Seb Straka, 80-1. And then I got my 3 futures. I got Akshay at 100, Bobby Mack at 150, and Sergio at 175. Now, I would not play Akshay at his current number at 65-1, whatever it might be. I would still play Bobby Mack all the way down to 50-1, and I would play Sergio all the way down to 60-1. Now, I'm not doing that because I don't have to, but if you just wanted to get in there, I still don't think those are terrible odds. They're not great odds for those guys, probably not even fair odds for those guys, but that's what I would be willing to play it to. So if you want to get in with me on those. So those are the 5 I have to win. I'm going to add someone at the top. We'll figure that out in a second. Top debutant Tambo, Kevin Yu. Boop, boop, boop. 14-1 as low debutant this year. Maybe he can make a putt. It's not often he does, but if he can actually putt to field average this week, he's going to run away with this one. Screw Mad McNeely. Kevin Yu is where you want to be at. And then first round leader, I got 5 guys, Reed and Rose, who I've previously mentioned, 60 and 65. I took Spawn and Ben Ann at 75-1 and Kevin Yu at 110-1. I played that one with 5 places, and those are all the bets I got, man.
Taylor Pendrith, disrespect on the debutante market. What's his number at?
I think he's 7-1, 8-1.
That's the one. I like the U call though, but I would say TP is up there as well. I think he's got an opportunity here, and I think he can play it well here. So we'll see. But yeah, Soldier Boy, back 9 bets in the chat. So I will say the other one you said there, the Straka one, like Kenny posted it out. Did you see that? Where, it got all the love. It got so much engagement. He's like, I'm not sure why this is getting so much run, but he basically told everyone to bet their mortgage on Seb Straka because of the number, and then wondered why it was polarizing and people were in the comments, but you already got him. So you got a good number.
I did. I actually made that on the show. Coolbet had that number hanging on Monday when I was doing the show with Jeff. I was like, you know what? I already bet the guy to win the Open. There's only so many guys that like all of the trend lines do point to. And I don't love Henley. I don't love Morikawa. Straka was the other one. I was like, might as well go with Sepp. I like Sepp.
Yeah, I think he'll be really popular in DFS, but even in the betting market, a lot are hitting him. I got DM this morning about, his each way odds versus the, you can get like 90-1 with 3 places versus 60-1 enhanced or something. So people are still looking at those numbers, but yeah, I think a lot of interest out there for Straka. I don't have much else though, unless you definitely, we can have the conversation with the other guys you're considering. I think you said JT is one and then somebody else.
Yeah. So JT, Rory, JT, Rom, and Xander, just because of the number. I get this wrong so often that I might as well just lean into guys that I don't even especially like, but I don't think that Xander is going to win just because I think that he's not back to 100% yet. It would be tough to win the Masters not being 100%, but this is probably the biggest Xander number at 24-1 that we're going to see in quite a while on a major.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are there. I think a lot of the Kawa and Xander bets because people just don't like to bet Scotty and Rory, especially at those numbers. I personally didn't love the Rory one, even with your boost. Like I get it, but it's still, it's not crazy. It's obviously not bad, but it's just, especially when you're boosting, it's just not something that excites me. Mine would be JT. I think you talked about earlier, you can't spell Thomas without Homa. He now has Homa's caddy on his bag. And you talked earlier for yourself about when all things start going bad and the momentum swings that way. Well, can't get any worse for Homa, or it could. His caddy could go over to JT and JT could win the Masters and put a green jacket on and Joe's up there with him. So I'm not sure how else I could put it, but I do still like JT here. and I think it's going to be a good spot. So he's my pick of those options.
So of the guys, I'll whittle it down. I'm not going to go with Rory. Rory is more of a hedge of, I just weirdly think Rory's going to win. And I know that means that I should bet on him. I just hate his odds so much. And I'm just playing against myself that here, like I said, like Rory, Morikawa, and Henley are the three obvious options to bet on this week. So what am I doing? Betting none of them and taking guys who aren't going to win.
Yeah, I would have Kawa over both those guys too, in the three guys you mentioned there. But I don't know, you and everybody else for the last 10 years thought Rory was going to win. So maybe this is the year.
Yeah, and I'm never really all that big on Rory at Augusta. This feels different. But what does that mean? It means literally nothing.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Exactly. So I get it, but my take would certainly be on JT there. I like that number this week in him.
I can get Rahm up to 21-1.
That's it. That's interesting too.
Like that my gut all week has said Rahm, and I have no real reason why. Like even after watching him play Durrell on Sunday, I was like, well, this isn't good.
Hey, it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. I don't know. Like it's just Rahm, and we haven't, the guy since he took the 500 mil or whatever it was, it just hasn't been a lot of anything. We don't, Rory overpowers all the interviews because PGA Tour side and everything else. Tiger's been back doing some stuff, the TGL stuff. Like there's literally so many other things that have gone on and popped up that you just don't see Rahm like you used to. At one point, obviously, he was the spokesperson and he'd be chiming in and say, hey, I'm not Tiger and Rory, so you don't need to hear from me, but here's my piece. And he would at least speak something, but we don't get that anymore. So feels like not having the airtime versus you still see Bryson on YouTube, et cetera, that he kind of is a little bit of a quiet pick there. And a 21-1, that is actually something. So I would have interest there too.
Yeah, before I saw that I was going to get one of these boosts, I was fine at playing it at 15. Now we get up to 20. I'm going to go with Rahm. That will be the last pick. John Rahm, 21-1, and I would play it at 15 if that's the only number available to you. But there's enough boosts out there. Like the sportsbooks are giving you money to bet with this week at the Masters. They know everyone's going to lose because Scotty's going to win. I don't think not a single cent has been bet on Scotty. He's probably the second most bet on guy behind Rory. It's just no one we know has bet on Scotty Scheffler to win. So if you know us and everyone we know that never wins, of course Scotty's going to win.
Yeah, it's just what he does, right? It's a way people always say it, like at golf betting tips and golf bets tracker and checker and all those guys posted out of the biggest handle and all this stuff. And it's like, what? How is this even possible? But it's just because the general public just expects it. Again, they saw him win last year. You've seen him win before. It's, yeah, Scotty's winning. Let me bet on him. But anybody we know is not betting on Scotty Scheffler.
I was actually surprised to see of the top 10 in handle so far on the Masters at sportsbooks that Henley was not inside the top 10. That surprised me.
Yeah, I'm not.
McIntyre was, but Henley wasn't. That's the really surprising part.
Yeah, I guess they're both kind of. I guess it's the Henley thing, the Georgia side of things, but also just I don't feel like people think Henley wins a lot. I think they like him for things like DraftKings and pools and tiers and pick'ems because they expect him to play well, but not necessarily win. That's everyone's kind of comfortable with that, if you will.
So here is my unofficial to make the cut parlay. I have played this one, so you can jot it down as you go. I think I made it with Cam and Byron on the show the other day. You ready for this? No one higher than minus 300 on this one. Cam Smith, Seb Straka, Patrick Reed, Adam Scott, Ben Ann, JJ Spawn, Phil, Dietrich, Kirk, Kevin, Lucas Glover. So it's an 11 person to make the cut parlay. $75 pays 7,300. So just short of 100-1 on that 11 legger. I will have the official one in the newsletter that I released tonight. When I finally whittle it all down, I'll probably put 2 of them in there. And a lot of people always ask me like, hey man, I the sites that I play on don't have that. Tambo, here's the greatest thing of all. Underdog has it. We can make one on Underdog if we want to. You want to do that with me?
Yeah. Pull it up. Let's see what we got. I think the nice thing about that, the 11 banger, by the way, as you like to call it, that's got a good balance of guys that were like, kind of risky, with also the other guys that you're like, okay, feel really comfortable with them, have a ton of data points and trends and long-term sample that you can feel good about. So it's almost like a DFS lineup in a way where you're balancing it like the chalk with the outliers and the leverage options. So I like the bet, the 11 banger, but I'm not sure if your streak's going to continue. That's a lot of dudes. You need to make the cut.
Hey, it was 13 last year. I actually whittled it down by 2 guys. Yeah. I nothing will be worse. There was 2 years, and we were doing the live Cut Sweat show this year. I mean, we kind of fucked off on it last year when we were in Vegas because we couldn't get our shit straight. But we're going to be in studio this time around, me, Jeff, and Cust, trying to figure this out. But Jeff was with me twice Duffner ended up making a double on 15 as the only guy to miss the cut. He missed the cut by 1, and he doubled the par 5 coming home. That gutted me to no end. In 2017 or 18, Griot got shot corrected on the app. It said he had made bogey, and then it corrected itself in like 4 minutes later and came to a par to make the cut on the number. And I won that one. That was amazing. And then I had Sergio on the 2018 or 19 version, whatever year he made the 15 or 13 on number 15. He was inside the cut line. I was like, I am winning this. This is magical. Back-to-back years. And Sergio went 8 over on 1 hole and missed the cut.
Man, you stuttered on Griot got shot. And I'm like, snipered? Like this guy, like Griot got shot. Corrected, you said. And so I was like, oh man, I got stunned on that one for a second, but it's good. And you, like you said, you hit a big one last year. You've been hot right now. You're going through a little bit of a lull personally, the car, the tire, all these different things, but bounce back here at the Masters birthday weekend special.
It'd be nice. I mean, the last time that I can remember, I'm sure it's happened in between. I just don't remember what Masters it was. The last time the Sunday Masters was on my birthday, Mike Weir won. I was very happy about that when I was 17 years old, 16 years old, whatever it might have been. It's very pumped up for a Canadian first timer to win the Masters on my birthday. That was great. Great memory I have with my dad watching it with him. But on Underdog right now, again, code Mayo gets you the free Bryson pick. You can start off with the free Bryson pick if you want, because it's a free pick. You just use it to double the odds of what you got. You get the deposit bonus. There's a 70% boost with $100 max right now in the lobby as well. And you can do the make the cut to miss the cut. So let's do it. I think my favorite guys to do, and I've been kind of saying this in and out, I really like Adam Scott simply to make the cut.
So we should leave him off.
So do you want to leave him off this one?
Yes.
Okay. How about Phil to make the cut?
All right. Let's do that. Phil's hot coming in.
All right, so yeah, Phil, just to make the cut, I think he's made it 7 of the past 8 years. Oh, they finally juiced him down a little bit. He was a pure pick him a few days ago. Now he's 0.87, so he's actually pretty decent odds on this. 0.87, I believe, translates into minus 170, and he's minus 225 at most sports books. So again, if you want to play the parlay version of this to make and to miss the cut, Underdog is probably the best shot you have at doing it, depending on which state you're in. So if there's ever a reason to go sign up for Underdog, now is that reason, using code Mayo and really helping us out over here. I don't like to go with the guys at the top. Honestly, I just feel like their odds are too unfair and they're not really doing anything for me. How about, do you like Matt Fitzpatrick or Cam Smith?
Both.
So you do like Matt Fitzpatrick to make the cut? To
make the cut. I think that's what's going to happen here. Like your Phil thing, I know we're doing this first, but like, is he going to make the cut? Yeah. Is he going to make the cut and come through all the way? Probably not. He's not going to be part of that 6-6 plus when we get to DFS later. But for this, to make the cut, I think all three of those guys are good, and I don't think they're too crazy, yet they should be okay odds versus going to the top of the board, right?
Yeah, of course. Like for example, like 0.65x is what Shane Lowry is to make the cut. Matt Fitzpatrick is 0.86x. Like that's a significant difference when you're putting all these guys together. So like right now with just Phil, Cam Smith, and Matt Fitzpatrick, we're at 3.3 to 1 on our money. But we're going to keep adding to this, see if we can hit a big one. Then we're going to add the 70% boost to it as well. And then I'll put that link both in the newsletter later on and in the live chat as we're going through this right now. How about Sam Burns?
No, don't like that. How many are we trying to put on this? Because I like those first three that you said. Mickelson, Fitz, Smith is a good start.
Okay. Davis Thompson.
In.
So you're in on Davis Thompson, and he's pretty good. I'm not even going to say the guys that aren't good odds. Like I don't really want to take Russell Henley at 0.6 like that. That's not good.
How many guys do you want to put on this?
We might as well go like 6 or 7.
Let's do a 7 banger. Lucky 7.
Lucky number 11. And then if you're new, you can add Bryson to it as well with the free pick and double your odds.
Yes.
Seb Straka is 0.71. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
You don't want any Straka smoke, huh?
I don't want these guys that are going to bury this thing because one of them's not going to come through. And in something like this, I think you can avoid the landmines a little bit more versus in DFS, you're going to build differently and build accordingly. So for this, I'm just trying to leave the majority of them off versus get some good makes in there. And we could probably take on a little bit of the worse odds now based on where we're at. We took some really good ones to start.
Well, Justin Rose is pretty good odds as well. Do you like Rose to make the cut?
I do. Yeah, I like him more than Scott, actually. What are his odds versus Scott's? Pretty similar?
Yeah, they're about the same.
Yeah, so I like that call.
Reed, Rye, or Bobby Mack?
Probably Bobby Mack.
Really? Reed's to make the cut is the highest of that bunch.
Yeah, he's another guy. I don't like these super chacos that everyone just assumes are going to be no way they mess it up like that. I don't like that. Bobby Mack's like kind of in the middle of that, but I feel better about Bobby Mack to make a cut. I actually feel better about Bobby Mack to do a lot more than that. But yeah, Bobby Mack to make the cut.
So it sounds like you're willing to eat the Bobby Mack chalk this week when we finally get there.
Yeah, he's $8,000. Like he's chalk for a reason. So we'll see how high it actually gets. But I like Bobby Mack there, and Connors is there too. So they're at least going to hold each other a little bit in check, I think.
This one's even money. Cam Young to make the cut, a guy who's come top 10 each of the past 2 years at the Masters.
I already owe you $100 last week on the Young versus Homa. This guy, they're both terrible. I don't care what anyone says. The guy had a good week, good for him, but it's been bad lately for both. So I don't have any interest in adding him to this. We need what? One more to close.
We need one more. I like JJ Spawn to make the cut. He's pretty high. How about my guy, Michael Kim, to make the cut?
All right, let's stick with your guy.
We could go Dietrich and Michael Kim are right around the same.
Dietrich, I kind of like earlier.
Or Glover.
No, I like the other two. Let's go for the brand. Michael Kim. I'm feeling it this year, man. He's another guy that I don't know if people are going to be on him or not when we get there later, but I feel like people are a little bit down on him as if he can't continue what he had rolling earlier. Like they kind of feel like he just has a start-stop button and he's stopped now. I don't believe that to be true. So I like the Michael Kim call.
I don't believe it either. I actually think he's a great DFS play. So we played a 7-banger to make the cut play on Underdog. You use code Mayo, you're brand new. You add Bryson to this, and it will put it up to 36-1, I think. But we have a 17.26x after I add my 70% profit boost, which will be available to everyone in the Underdog lobby. So $100 pays $1,700. Tambo, we're putting that in.
And they just got to make the cut.
They just got to make the cut. And I've been through, I do my spiel every single year about why it's more profitable to play this sort of parlay than any other parlay in any other sport throughout the course of the year. So I'm not really going to hammer down on it again, but I really think that there's legitimately only 75 guys who can actually make the cut of this field of 95. Once you get rid of 90, if you give one old guy and one amateur making the cut and two of like the scrub players in the field making the cut, past champions or guys who just suck that have somehow qualified for this, you whittled the field down 20 pretty easy. So then it's top 50 in ties into a field of 75. And you just hope to get lucky and run good.
Yeah, and what ends up happening, that's why I was purposely leaving out some of those other guys, is now everybody gets greedy with the 7-banger and makes it a 10-banger when they add Straka, Reed, and Scott. And then one of those dudes screws them. And it's not about all of them. It's just that was part of the reason why I was comfortable fading all of them on this. But they're going to add all three, and one of them is going to fail them, and then their whole ticket loses. So
if you wanted to play it, there is a different way. Oh, I accidentally put it off, so I can't even look at it now. Whatever the flex play is as well, then you get some break. If one of the guys misses the cut, you're still going to win money, although the overall upside payout just isn't going to be there. It's like playing a round robin.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we're good on that. I like that call, and yeah, that's another way to do it.
All right, so if we can just win a quick $1,700, that'd be great. If we can get like Justin Rose, first round leader, everyone will win. We'll hit this, everyone will win. We'll hit the main one, everyone will win. What am I going to do with like my 80 grand, Tambo? Should you tell me what to do? I get a new tire,
new car, maybe. Yeah, I got the whole new thing. You don't know. Did they call you already? It might be more than the tire.
That's why I had to delay by a minute. They actually called me like a minute before we started to go live. Hey, we've got your summer tires. I was like, hey, just. I don't know what I want to do with the winter tires. Obviously, I need a new one. Turns out I need 3 new winter tires because I've never had them changed since when I bought the car like 3 years ago. Driving around here is not great. So it's like, yeah, just throw the summers on. It'll be fine. The weather's great. Wake up, snow everywhere. It's like, oh, fucking fantastic.
And then on top of that, all of our American viewers saying like, what's 80K Canadian going to do? That's like $5.
80K. Here's the way that I look at it. Because Americans would get taxed on those winnings, right? Yes. So it's about the same amount of money.
There you go. That's a better way of saying it. I obviously overly exaggerated it, but happy to almost get the coffee spit out there. So we're good. We're back at it.
Oh, I'm out on coffee. I'm drinking tea these days.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, out on coffee. And the headaches, are they alleviated now?
The headaches are gone, and my stomach feels way like... Honestly, consuming 8 cups of coffee a day probably wasn't good for my stomach, and it just started feeling like I was getting like an ulcer or something. So I was like, you know what? I'll just switch to tea and wildly cut back, and I did. After a week, it was fine.
You should get some of those there's like shrooms additives that you can get mixed into your tea, and then you can just really get wired up for these shows.
I don't know how wired up I would be. You give me some like some of DJ's tea, and then maybe I'll be super fired up for the show.
I don't think they're making that tea yet. They are making like shroom variations that they like micro dosing, and you can get a little bit of extra thoughts and things going on there. If you're, all these big wig CEOs and stuff trying to dream up stuff in the tech world.
Well, they did sponsor on the show like 3 weeks ago. I think it was called Peak, and they sent me some of this like mushroom tea. It wasn't like shroom tea, but it was mushroom tea. I liked it. My wife loves it. She went through the entire thing.
Okay, yeah. See, there you go. You're halfway there. Just need to get the drugs in there.
One and done for the week. I am down to 41st in the race for the Mayo Cup. Our show team is 868, and I have another team that's in 21st hundred place. So I'm in the top half of the entire thing, and I have one making some real money right now. What should we do? If you were thinking about what you want to do with your picks for this tournament, what do you think that you would want to do?
I think I'm going to play JT.
Really?
Yeah. I just, here was my thoughts. Actually, I can give you the thoughts. This actually makes it more interesting. It was like, okay, JT PGA Championship, but wait, live guys, got to factor them in and think about it. I've already used Ludwig. So if I was trying to be different there, I don't have one of Rory or Scotty I've used. I can't remember. So I obviously could use the other, but you can play those guys anywhere. And even though they're both only like 50% this week in the big one, they're going to get used a bunch here, of course. So I was really debating between like Rahm, Bryson, JT, and Brooks, like live mixed with the guy I kind of want to use. And I just went with JT because I think I can use Rahm, the US Open, or Bryson, US Open, and then Brooks or Bryson and Rahm at the PGA. And I could even save someone like Rahm, I think, for like the Open. So if I want to use those live guys, which those are the three that I'm most considering over like the Niemans of the world and the DJs who we're not spending as much time on anymore, that was my thought process.
I've used Scheffler, Rory, and Ludwig as my big guys on this one team. So that leaves me with Colin, Rahm, Xander, Bryson, JT, Hideki. When we take a look at the team that we play together, we still have Rory available. And Rory's already been used by half the field. Like, if it came down to it, would you use Rory here? If you were thinking about Bryson and Rahm at the other two places? Yeah,
you can just use Rory in ours. I like that. Because if you weren't betting him the 9-1, you want to get another piece of action. Even though he's going to get used, that 50% is going to drop heavily this week. This is a spot people were saving him for. Papa Tambo, early text this morning. Hopefully this guy can finally put on a green jacket. I'm going with Rory. But he's hot lately. He's at Minwoo. And who do you have last week? I forget now. But yeah, the Minwoo win was his momentum, if you will. So he's going with Rory. But I don't hate it, Pat. We can play him anywhere, but why not now? Just use him up.
Yeah, especially I don't know if people will use him this week, obviously. Of that 52%, I'd guess that he's not the most popular pick because you have all of the live guys coming in, and you just have to know people are saving him for Quail Hollow at the PGA Championship too.
And he's an absolute loser, and he's never going to win the Masters. So everybody knows that, but I think in general, that's a thought process I had as well and where I was considering it, but I think he was the one I used already, and I did not get one of the two wins that he picked up. So I was disappointed. I think I have Scotty, but then I just thought about, is Scotty going to go back to back? Is he fully ready? All those other factors. So I kind of just went without him. Plus he'll be popular too, but like you said, they'll be kept in check.
What do you think Scotty's case? Scotty's been 51% used already. So he has only 49% of the field has a chance to take him. If I think I've used him on all three of my teams. I think I would burn him here.
I think so too. I think him and Rory both somewhere in that 15% range.
I think Rory will be way higher than Scheffler because I think people are a bit pensive on Scheffler, and you have the fact that you can use all the live guys.
That does matter. It's just I don't know how people feel as much about the live guys here and considering the whole picture. I do feel like Brooks is kind of left out now. Like people just aren't super high on him for anything. So it kind of just feels like Rahm and Bryson. And then that's like you're guaranteed to save one of them for the US Open in most people's minds, right? They're going to say, I'll just use one of them at the US Open. But where do they use the other one? And I feel like you can make the case for Rahm elsewhere, even though he obviously has a green jacket, and you can put him back up here.
How many people in the field do you think take a shot and try to call their shot with someone down the board? Like Lowry, Henley, Bobby Mack, Sergio, Straka, one of those guys.
I don't know, but does that feel bad or is that just me?
I mean, I think that Lowry's closer to this top end than he is to some of the guys that I mentioned in terms of just how good he's been for 3 years.
Right. Yeah. And there's other ways to get access to these guys. I guess what I'm saying is like when you have those live options that are big boy options, when you have enough people that have one of Scotty or Rory or both, you have Kawa, X, JT, Like there's just all these other guys up there. I don't know. I guess, yeah. What else are you saving some of them for? But to me, feels like I'd be going one of those guys, and just you could still get different enough with a Ludwig, a JT, something like that.
Xander. I think Xander is the ultimate pivot and one and done here. Everyone's just going to save him for when he's back in form. If you catch him here, you're going to get a 1 or 2% Xander. The problem is if he's not back, he might miss a cut and lose a lot of ground.
If Xander wins here, he's getting the career Grand Slam before anybody.
That's crazy to think
of
about.
The recent market that it's been talked about the last 6 years plus, or whatever you want to call it. Like he's going to close it out because he's already got the other ones and of the harder ones, it's going to be these. So I think that's where you could see Xander pull it off pretty quickly, just the way it's played out.
Maybe I'll use, I have locked in for my main team. I'm not going to give away my pick on that one, but we're taking Rory for our team that we do on the show together. I was thinking about using Will Zalatoris on my other team.
There you go. That's you're calling your shot, taking your spot. And is that your 2100th?
Well, yeah, that's one where I'm way behind. Like I need to get lucky if I want to get back into this.
Yeah, I feel like that's my wonder, and I'm not good at one and done, so it's always open to strategy and talking through it with people and stuff like that. But I think in general, it's like, isn't there enough guys that are still different in your pool remaining this early that you don't necessarily have to go way down to him and get a complete differentiator versus you could find like a 5%er of somebody up the board and still get better odds towards the win actually closing it and still boost you mostly the same. 95% don't have them.
Yeah, but once we get to basically the Brooks line, like if you consider Brooks to be in that upper tier of guys, that leaves like 9 guys, right? And you try to pick and choose the lower owned ones from that tier. I think that's a very good strategy, and that's what I have done with my main team. That's what we're trying to do with our team too. But once you get to Fleetwood, Spieth, Neiman, like they're no different than any of these guys down the board.
Yeah, I gotcha. And that's why I wondered that. So yeah, it's good talking point. I do like the strategy of these sort of peer-to-peer, one and dones, the pick'ems, the stuff where you're still going up against others and have to have a game theory element to it and go through some of that thought process. So I like it. And I like that you're calling your shot on the one that's down the board, at least. That makes more sense to it.
Yeah, it may not be Zalatoris when all is said and done, but it'll be someone of that ilk from that range, I think.
Is your main pick Xander, if I guess?
No, it's not.
Okay. Just felt like you were kind of like leaning in, but leaning out at the same time. It's like, all right, it might be Xander, but I like the Xander call.
You know what? I'm actually going to play Xander instead of I was going to take Bobby Mack down the board, but screw it. I'm going to take Xander on that team that's way behind. That's the prudent move. That's the right move.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't know if it's right. I still don't. I'm saying.
I mean, in terms of like talking it through theory wise, it's the right pick. If he sucks, it's obviously the wrong pick.
You still have 3 more majors and a bunch of signature events. So you're not dead by any means if you pick this up here. So I think that's a really good call, and you still get away with using someone that's really good, but that others can't find as much room for in the game this week. So I like that call.
All right. So that was the bets, the one and done, and Underdog. Coming up right after this, we are going to run through the entire Millionaire Maker slate with our lineups on the screen. We're going to talk ownership, the best build, the chalk builds, and hopefully one of you out there, if it's not me, it's not Tambo, I really hope it's one of you that can take home at least one of those $1 million prizes coming up right after this. Outdoor golf season is almost here, but is your swing ready? With 126 X-Golf locations across 38 states, it's never been easier to dial in your swing year-round. I can speak to this. Going to the simulators all winter long, especially the good ones. You can go to crappy simulators. You don't want to go there. You want to go to X-Golf and really prep your game and hit the season firing. X-Golf's state-of-the-art simulators let you play full rounds, tee to green with unmatched short game realism. X-Golf's Auto Tee system ensures you're always ready to bomb a drive. No delays or automatic 2-putts, just real, competitive golf in a lively sports bar environment. Love a little competition? X-Golf's handicap leagues and tournaments give every golfer a shot at winning incredible prizes. Upcoming spring tournaments include the Majors, where you could win a beach or mountain vacation, or the Cinco de Mayo Scramble, win a trip to New Belgium Brewery in Asheville, and that is just the start. So visit playxgolf.com to find your nearest X-Golf and book your tee time today. Again, trust me on this. You're going to want to go to X-Golf. So visit playxgolf.com. I'm going to tell you about Nutrafol 1 again because I believe that everyone should have thick, luscious, hair growing off the top of their scalp. And Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Building a hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required, automated deliveries, and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free naturopathic doctor consults, and a Headspace meditation membership is also included. So start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering my listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code PATMAYO. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code PATMAYO. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code PATMAYO. Now that the weather's heating up for almost everyone, you need to flip your wardrobe. And if you're anything like me, summertime means more outfit changes. Golf, work, gym, playground with the kids, restaurants, whatever it is that you do, it probably requires a change of clothing. What you need are shorts and pants that look the part for all those places that are actually comfortable. And that's a hard thing to do. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's tried wearing a pair of regular golf shorts to dinner after playing earlier that day, only to have your wife tell you that you need to go change because now you're dressed like that creepy guy at the office who wears a golf shirt and golf shorts to work every single day, and it's just a real bad vibe. But here's the thing. Since I've started wearing bird dogs, hasn't said a word. They look the part for the course and everywhere else. Plus, unlike my dressier shorts, bird dogs are actually comfortable. They look the same, but they're not just chafing the inside of my thighs the entire time. I basically wear them everywhere now. And when I was at Pinehurst, a place that's really not known for the casual look, I was able to wear my bird dogs while I was playing, and then I wore the exact same shorts to the dress code steakhouse later that night. Everyone was uncomfortable as they were filling their guts with food. Not Pat Mayo, because I have my bird dogs. No issues whatsoever. And for a limited time, my listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Get this hat completely free when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Show support for the Pat Mayo experience and let them know that I sent you. If you're around my age when you were a kid, you probably just wore boxers all the time. They were big, they were baggy, they made it look like you had fat rolls at the top of your thighs because they got so bunched up anytime that you wore jeans. Not really my jam at this point in my life. I am all over the Skims stretch briefs right now. They're sleek. They're athletic. I wear them when I go golfing. I wear them all the time. They're the only pair of underwear I actually own right now. They're super comfortable. You know, they make sure that your junk is firmly tight in there because you don't want to be walking around with loose junk when you're running, when you're trying to hit a golf ball, or just, you know, when you get a little bit older and you start to get a bit, I don't know how to say this, saggy a little bit, that, you know, they don't want to be slapping off the inside of your thighs. You don't want that at all. And Skims makes that possible with their awesome stretch brief underwear. It's like you're wearing nothing at all, but still completely, fully secure at all times. So shop Skims Men at skims.com and any Skims stores and let them know that I sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select the Pat Mayo experience in the drop-down menu that follows. Skims is the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball. If you want to go straight to the site, go to www.skims.com/Pat Mayo. Tambo, Skims showed up at my house and my wife was fired up. She was like, "You got me Skims?" I was like, "No, those are for me. Sorry."
Might now be as well because the old saggy Skims that you got over there, the selling point. But have you played, you know, Pinehurst Pat is a popular thing right now. Have you played Pinehurst?
I will tell everyone till the end of time I had the best time.
It sounds like you did, but a wonderful thing. We had, playing through almost with the PGA Tour here on the Pat Mayo experience.
I was thinking, like, should we do a playing through next time? I mean, we're not going to, people came to me. They just showed up at my door with bags of money for ads this week, Tambo. I couldn't say, I'm not made of stone. I couldn't say no. I'm going to lose all of it back playing bets and DraftKings and Underdog. Anyway, I need to get that money somewhere.
It's smart. I will say, side marketing note, because we love talking about this stuff too. But like, I always make fun of that because there's like people like, why are you talking about the company that you part own? Like, why would you talk about Ship It Nation? It's like an ad. It's like I could talk about all these ads, or I could talk about something you're here to watch and talk about, and one or the other. But you're shameless, and you always tell the people like it is. Got to pay for these things somehow. So love the ads, and nobody breaks them down better, Pat. So that's the key. That's the real kicker. Breaking down the saggy sack with skims, saggy sack skims. Nobody does it better. Nobody could do it better. That's the thing.
And if we do, we'll do playing through next time where we'll put the ad on the main part, but we'll still have like me and you building lineups through the ad break that people can see on the screen.
That's amazing. Yeah. Put some of the potential saggies into the lineup there. There's definitely some of those guys in the field that need skims.
Well, should we enter the all saggy skims lineup into the Millionaire Maker? See how it goes?
You can't, the SS in Scotty Scheffler stands for saggy skims. So we could start it off with Scotty.
Yeah, we can't start off with 26-year-old Scotty Scheffler. They got to be at least 38. That's when the sag starts.
All right, fine.
We'll go that way. But that's not where I want to go to first with these lineups. You can watch it right now on the screen as we go through it. I put in like an optimized lineup that I think that'll be pretty popular, and it has a lot of some of the key components. I want to talk about this one first. We'll go through the ownership, and then we'll try to build out what we think is going to be the chalkiest lineup of all. This one starts with Bryson and goes to Fleetwood and Cantlay, and then it's Sergio, Henley, and Michael Kim. It leaves $100 on the table. I bet you that projects out great.
We're going to find out. That was wild starting spot from what I thought it would be, though. But I'll put Henley in there. And yeah, it projects really well to start things off. That is correct.
I was just thinking of who does well in projections versus how I actually think they're going to play. And even like not even chalk-wise, but Bryson is a projections dream because he scores so well. Even when he plays poorly, he scores really well.
Yeah, the interesting thing is like the Morikawa option is not that much further up, right? He's $600, and you can drop. Prime example in this lineup is actually, I think it's Henley down to Connors, and then it's Bryson up to Morikawa, and you add like 6 or 7 points just like that. And I'm not saying this is the chalk either. I'm just saying it's an example where you can just make that quick move and pick it up from there with other chalk pieces.
I actually like the Bryson over Morikawa. I don't like Bryson at all this week, but I do think from a DraftKings perspective, if they're both in the relative vicinity of each other, Bryson will inherently score more DraftKings points.
I think you could be correct. Sorry, I'm distracted by the chat right now because they're doubling down that Shane Lowry would need the skims, and he would also need the non-chafing pants as well. Is that correct? Like, he would fit all molds of the builds, and that would make a lot of sense. Actually.
All right, that's what I want the chat to do. While we go through this lineup, the ownership, I want you to throw in your saggy skims picks of the week for the Masters. The guys that you think should probably need some skims out on the course as they're playing right now. Shane Lowry's like sneaky not old. He's only, I guess he's 38. So yeah, he fits my age cutoff for that. I got to tell you, there is something. If you just take a look at all the bets that I made this week, Rahm, Lowry, Straka, Bobby Mack, I mean, they're all Euros. They're all hefty individuals. They're going to be fine in this cold weather.
Yeah, big boys, man. Unlike Mike Weir, who would obviously never have a chance at winning this thing ever again. But
or Pat Mayo at Pinehurst #2, when I went out on the course and it was 39 degrees and froze my ass off and barely broke 100.
Yeah, we can build a big boys lineup too later. It's not super helpful to people, but I think there is something. It's kind of interesting that some of these guys are the bigger dudes that go and get the job done.
Yeah, well, yeah, natural layers on them. The one problem is I also bet on Akshay. I mean, I think he lost all the weight for the 4 of those guys combined.
Yeah, I don't know how much he weighs. Like, actually, what do you think he actually weighs?
How I don't know how tall he is. He seems like he's tall, but all really skinny people look like they're tall on TV.
He definitely seems tall. Yeah,
let's give him 6 foot. Just 6 foot even. If he's 6 foot, I bet you he weighs 150 pounds.
Is he 6 feet tall?
If he's if he's 5'8", he might weigh 100.
No, he's definitely. I think he's 6 feet tall.
If he's 6 feet, it would be hard to weigh under 150 pounds if you were 6 foot.
Yeah, don't want to sidetrack it too much. 130 pounds. Wiki has him at.
That seems light.
Man,
if he's 6 foot,
he's 6 foot.
It almost feels like you couldn't function in your day-to-day life.
He's got that mobility, man. He's got that extra swing through, that pass through that he can make happen. So people did say Glover, though, for the skims. That guy in his ass sweat and everything he's got going on, he's definitely chafing up. So he needs it for sure.
I mean, Robert Garrigus would have been like the all-time player on the all skims team.
He won me $40K before. One of my first ever big wins in PJ DFS was Robert Garrigus.
Really?
Yeah. It was Torrey Pines, and I went a south-north. It was before wave advantages ever existed. I went south-north when everybody went easy course first, north-south. And I went south-north and ended up coming second in, at the time, the $4.20 max. And Robert Garrigus was on the team.
So if it's not for Robert Garrigus, who has taken joint breaks and porta potties on the side of the course, then got suspended from golf, you probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to me right now.
I'd have a lot less bankroll to kick things off and make other things happen. Yes.
Interesting stuff. So let's build the chalk lineup and maybe try to go through some of the most popular plays first. And we'll talk about this in sets, as you talked about off the hop. So when we think about, let's say, Justin Thomas and up. So that's $9,600 and up to the very top at Scotty. Colin and Rory, I'm almost assuredly going to be the top two, with Scotty probably just behind them as the big three. No one is playing Ludwig, as you mentioned. And then you're into Rahm, who I think is slightly more than Bryson, Xander, and Thomas, but well below the top three.
I think it's a bottom-up build, and I think I found it, but then you can finagle it. But if you know the bottom, which I feel like we do, and it's Sergio, it's Reed, and it's Corey Connors, because they all are under 7K, some in the low sevens, that works. I don't know how you want to play it from there. This is actually an interesting build because it skips the nines, it skips the guys up top. But if you go with Lowry and Henley, it lands on Morikawa.
Oh, that's a line. Everyone's playing this line.
And that's it looks unique because it's fading some ranges, but the ownership is just sky high across the board with no leverage built in whatsoever. You just feel good because you're like, no sixes, no nines, not playing Scotty or Rory. I got this. And maybe in like a higher stakes, smaller field or something, it's obviously all really good odds in the odds markets, but that would be kind of where the line is drawn. And then you could change it up completely.
All right, I'm gonna do this instead. I just pulled up Underdog onto the screen. Instead of playing that as a DraftKings lineup, play that as a make the cut Underdog play instead. If you feel like that's the safest thing in the world, because that's not going to win you any money. Everyone,
I want to see this. I know they'll all be like different odds, but I'm curious what that is.
Morikawa to make. I mean, Morikawa's to make the cut is not great. He doesn't even have a made cut. Yeah, he doesn't even have a to make the cut. His odds are so ridiculous. They only have him to miss the cut if that's the way that you wanted to go with it. But we'll throw the other five onto it.
Yeah, try and get a 5-banger, and then if somebody has Bryson, they can add him in too.
That's true. Use code Mayo, and then you can get Bryson onto that, or use one of the boosts. Lowry was on that, so let's go to Lowry. We'll throw him on. Made cut. Who are the other guys? Connors?
Reed, Garcia, Connors, Lowry, Henley.
Sergio. If Sergio wins, I'm going to be so fucking rich. It's going to be great. Sergio and Bobby Mack are really the big two for me here if they can somehow go through.
Sergio's not winning.
Why not? Why? He's already won. It's more than you've done, pal.
It definitely is. That's why I keep framing that up. I think people jam like half their bankroll in, even no matter what their bankroll is, on Masters week, because they feel like there's some extra piece to it. I'll take 200K any week. I know the Millie Makers are different, but those are obviously also impossible to win, or feels like it. So I don't see any difference in that, but just got to watch your bankroll management contest selection this week.
So putting those 5 guys on all to make the cut on Underdog, 100 pays 288.
Well, it's free money.
And I got a network error. I don't even know if that went in or not. Either way, that was the way that you can play. If you feel so safe about it, that might be the route you want to do, and then get a bit trickier on DraftKings. I do think that you're not necessarily correct about winning 200K this week versus winning 200K last week is any discernible difference. For us, it actually is to do it at the Masters. If you're not a content person trying to sell something, then it really makes no difference whatsoever. 200K is 200K. The amount of sales that you could make off that 200K because you had the big week, the week that everyone was watching, is actually quite valuable. Trust me, as someone who has a career, because Danny Willett won the Masters.
Yeah, definitely possible. I just think it depends on where you're at. And I will take the 200K any week and still think that it's going to be able to be sold if needed to be. So I'm happy with it either way, but it's more of a warning for those that I talk to daily, of people that are like, look at all the good contests, I'm all in this week. And then there's overlay over here and I'm jumping over here, and then something else happens and they don't have it. And now they've just wasted all their bankroll because they felt like it would be special if they did it at the Masters. Typically, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, let's see how my drafts are going. We can go checking on those right now. My active.
I know it auto picks, but does it do it immediately or does it wait out the clock on people?
I think it does it immediately. That's why I turned all the auto onto it. I feel like the people that it waits out the clock are the people that forget to turn autopilot on.
Good.
I think. I'm not in them. So I have 5 going right now, all in the scramble returns. It seems like all my other ones actually got completed already. So I'm maxed out in all of those. Excellent.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you want to go max it out, the 40K to first $50, it's only a 10 max and it's just majors drafts. That one's pretty easy to do.
40K to first for $500 max entry.
Yeah.
Nice. That's not bad.
No, it's my favorite of the contests that they've run. And again, you can use the promo code money to do that. So I'm back on Fantasy National /Mayo to get that discount of 20% right now. So it's Ludwig. It's Ludwig, and then a step up from him, Bryson, Xander, Justin. Step up from him, Rom, and then a step up is the big three of Scotty, Rory, and Morikawa. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, like nobody's playing Ludwig there at all.
And then I see no one playing any of the other 9K guys. No one's playing Hideki. No one's playing Brooks. No one's playing Neiman. No one's playing Victor. Tommy will get ownership. Spieth will get ownership. Lowry will get ownership. But those 4 guys are just boxed out.
Yeah,
one of those guys should be in your lineup.
Yeah, that's actually where I think it could be made or broke. Like I think we'll get to 6K guys and requiring some because the way it is this week, especially if you want to get to Scotty or Rory or something up there, it doesn't hurt to get those 6K guys in. Plus, it's awesome because there's only 20 guys in the 7K range. People think 3 of them are the nuts. And so you're going to be able to get a couple upper 6K guys. And like you mentioned, Michael Kim, Spawn, different options there beyond that even that you can plug in and be basically the same thing. They would be in the 7K range if there was more than 20 guys in the 7K range. They're just below. But to your point of the 9K range up there, when you got Decky, Brooks, Neiman, Hovland, and then even the upper 8s with Hatton, who knows if Minwoo gets a little boost, but Zal, Cam Smith, Bhatia, before you get to Connors and Bobby Mack, that's kind of the range where there's 12 golfers in there or 9 golfers that nobody's really going too heavy on. So they know they're okay, but they're not willing to commit. And that's the spot you can find to get different for sure.
Let's say I'm forcing you to play one of Hideki, Brooks, Neiman, or Hovland. Is it Neiman?
It's probably Decky or Neiman, one of those 2.
All right, let's go with Neiman. I'm just going to throw him in, and then we'll go into the 8th. You kind of mentioned all of the names that are in there already. I did want to click over to Cool Bet for a second. Forgot that I played this bet because it's a Masters boost for me. I played Straka top 20, Ben Ann top 30, Kevin Yu top 40, 11.5 to 1 parlay. Only get it on Cool Bet. Then you can opt in to the Masters giveaway, which for every $10 that you bet on the Masters or Heritage next week, you get a ballot into a draw for a free trip. You can find more details on that in the description right now. So we'll throw Neiman in the 8Ks. Lowry's going to be uber popular. Does Lowry have a chance to be the most owned guy, do you think?
He fits every build is one thing that's interesting about him. So even if we had to change that to a Scotty build even earlier, you could still make it work. If you go to somebody else like Morikawa, Rom, Xander, wherever else you want to start, he fits. So I think he's going to be popular. I don't know if he'll get to the most owned, but he's definitely a possibility. And at least from the 8K range, he's likely to be the most owned. That's for sure. I think more than Bobby Mack even at 8K.
Do you think Henley or Bobby Mack gets more owned?
It's tough to say because it's $400. It's not much, but
I'm seeing a lot of love for Zal.
Yeah, I think Zal can hold Henley in check. Like if I saw Henley 15 in the flagship, like the $10 milli, people might say like, oh, I thought he was going to be 20 plus or something. It's just hard to get a lot of these guys up over 20, especially when I think the most, interesting thing or the one that we didn't spend a lot of time on is I don't really see a 30% guy this week in the flagship. I
don't, unless people really struggle to build down low, which I don't think that they will. Then all of a sudden Morikawa becomes the highest owned guy.
That is definitely a potential here, but
that's an out. I don't think that happens, but that at the last second, people are like, man, I just can't justify playing JJ Spawn in my lineup. Well, Pat's here like lock and losing all my money, but that's how it ends up happening. Just if Scotty and Rory become too expensive to play, but it's not going to be every, but Scotty lineups and Rory lineups with Lowry as second man in are going to be uber popular.
Yeah, I think you just got to look for ways to get a little bit different.
How does that even work? Let me see. Scheffler, Lowry, what does that leave you with? 7,200. Yeah, then you go Reed, Sergio, one more guy down low, and you can get up to Connors. That's how that lineup works.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like that to me becomes a common Scotty build. So you got to think about how you want to build the a Scotty lineup with what would work here. A Scotty lineup with 5 7K guys that nobody's playing.
You could play them. You know who I'm not going to lock button him because I feel bad about doing it. I actually think DJ shows up here. Right. He's been playing his past 2 live tournaments. He's kind of DJ again, and he's 1% owned, I think.
Okay. So just an example, you have it up there already. Two of the guys we already talked about Matt Fitzpatrick. There's not nobody playing him, but I'm saying like nobody's committing to. You plug in Akshay at 8,100.
Oh yeah, I like this.
I know I went outside, but I'm just going above and below these guys. Day instead of Straka, and then you land on Davis Thompson, who you mentioned earlier.
Or Cam Young.
Or Keegan, whoever you want.
I'll go with Cam Young in this one. I like Cam Young better than Davis Thompson and Keegan Bradley. I actually like Dietrich below. I like Spawn below. And Ben Ann might end up being my highest owned guy this week. And I don't know why I've done this to myself.
Damn. What about you're so close to getting to it. I can't quite get there.
What were you trying to do? Because I could probably make it work.
Get Dietrich and Akshay to Dietrich and Zal.
You get rid of Day and you make Day Ben Ann.
Yeah.
Then you make Dustin Zal.
Oh,
yeah,
Ben
that
Ann.
works. That's exactly enough money.
So how much is Ben Ann? 68, right?
Yeah, he's only 68, man. The guy's good. Like he's not like good, like he's gonna win good, but he's good for this.
And then you can keep Akshay in with what do you have left there? $100?
I got zero. I got Scheffler, Zal, Fitz, Akshay, Ann, and Cam Young.
Oh yeah, I went to Dietrich instead of Cam Young.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's probably a better lineup. So let's do that.
That's what I was trying to get to. And you could have went to somebody else here and there and everywhere, but like instead of putting Henley in, I kept Zal. I think that's some of the interesting pivots. I don't think you pivot everybody, but like Henley has Zal just below him. Bobby Mack and Connors have Akshay and Cam Smith just above them. Straka's great and really good on paper, but you still have Jason Day and some other guys around him. So there's a ton of places you can go here. Even if Spawn gets popular, you got Benny Ann at half the ownership. Who you
Spawn, like what's popular for Spawn? He gets to 6%.
I think it's like 7 to 10. And it's not that that's bad. Obviously, 90% of the field's not playing him. Play him. I'm just saying if you're comparing the two of them, it's just little pivots like that could be small difference. And then you still got your boy Kevin Yu that can really fix things up here if we wanted to from a dollar perspective for a completely different Scotty build.
Yeah, the Ben Ann, Michael Kim, Kevin Yu, Dietrich combination at the bottom two of those four or three of those four with the super studs are going to be a lot of my lineups.
What would it be? The two most would it be you and Spawn because they were even in your cool bet that you just did?
Yeah, I really like those guys. But just I changed the lineup that we just talked about a little bit. I turned Fitz with that extra $100 left back into DJ. So it's Scheffler, Zal, DJ, Bhatia, Ann, and Dietrich.
Scheffler, Zal, Bhatia, DJ, and Dietrich.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like that one has 3 guys likely under 5%, 2 guys hovering around 10%, and then Scotty Scheffler at whatever number he comes in at. But that's my point. That's a much different Scotty lineup than what we've looked at previously. And most builds will have 2 or more 7K guys. But Benny Ann and Dietrich would definitely be 7K guys if they had the normal 40 options in the 7K range. They're just 68 and 6,900. So a prime example of a way to get different with a Scotty lineup that still plays well and projects pretty good.
Yeah, and you could inherit some chalk into this. Like the one thing I've noticed about past Millionaire Maker lineup winners, even in the biggest contest, year over year at the Masters, they usually have 3 chalk guys in it. Like Connors is not a bad play if you like Connors.
Yeah, so you can get Spawn and Henley in right now.
I was going to say that you could upgrade this if you wanted to Straka and Connors.
Straka, and then take Bhatia down?
Yeah.
Let me see here. So what do you land on? What's the final? Straka, Connors?
Let's see. I have to open up some more tabs. Last week, they said it was running slow on my end because I had way too many tabs open. So now I'm going to
I found a good one, actually, that works well.
All right. So what is it?
I had to get Dietrich. I went with your and Spawn call at the bottom, and it allows you to play Scotty, the 2 double S's, the Scotty Scheffler and Sepp Straka, and then you get Corey Connors and Minwoo Lee with Benny Ann and Spawn. It's only 5 points off the original projection, but you keep 3 pretty low-owned options in there with Connors, Straka, Scheffler. So maybe not for the $10 milli. Maybe you want a little more leverage in that, but I think it's still fine. But for the other stuff, this is a pretty good lineup overall.
So you can 2v2 from that lineup that we just had. You bring Dietrich down to Spawn. You can turn DJ into Straka, and that's just a pure 2v2. Then you keep Zal and Bhatia in that lineup. So we'll do that for one. And what was the other pivot that you just gave me? You take Akshay and Zal and turn it into Minwoo and Connors?
Yeah, that's a good 2v2.
Yeah, there it is right there.
But I think Connors and Straka will be more prevalent in more build styles. Therefore, that's kind of the setup. But what is one thing we forgot was Straka. If you go Sergio, Reed, Straka, Connors, what's that chalk build look like?
Sergio, Straka, Reed, Connors. It's funny that you keep saying Connors and not Bobby Mack. Maybe Bobby Mack doesn't get as high as people think.
Well, it's going to be someone's getting held in check somewhere.
I hope it's Bobby Mack because I'll play all of the Bobby Mack. I will play all the Bobby Mack. I am more comfortable playing Robert McIntyre at pure chalk than Corey Connors at pure chalk this week.
Yeah. And
so if you do that, you go, I had Neiman in this one. If you take Neiman out, you have 10.5 or 10.05. You have 10K left for two guys. Like you can go Morikawa Hideki or Morikawa Justin Thomas, actually.
Garcia, Straka. Don't you want to play Bobby Mack over Connors, you said?
I do, but I'm just saying with that line of the guys that you just gave me, Justin Thomas and Morikawa fill out your roster with $0 left.
So let me see here. Justin Thomas and Morikawa. Yeah. I think Rahm is like a really good option here too. We'll see what actually ends up happening, but I do feel like Morikawa is getting steamed up more, and it's like you can just play Rahm for $100 less.
And there you go. And I have no interest in playing DeChambeau anyway. So what this does for me, I mean, I like Thomas more than I like Xander, but I know that Xander's probably going to come in behind Thomas. As a 2v2, we just did Morikawa and Thomas because they fit. Morikawa and Thomas are actually Rahm and Xander as well, same price.
Or you can go Rahm, JT, Bobby Mack.
And I like that better, but
I like that better for sure. That's definitely a lineup I like. But again, you're still using the same 7K guys that a lot are using. I get it. I'm just saying that's at least another nice build that's a little bit different at the top than where most will go.
Yeah, this is probably. I mean, this lineup will be duped on you, I would guess.
We need to get the Kevin Yu factor in there somehow. Like maybe not into this one, but. What's the best way you want to use Kevin Yu to your advantage? Because I think most would use him to get to like Scotty or Rory. But if we could stick to the Rahm theme, we'd be able to do a lot of things differently, right? Or 3 9K guys or something.
Well, I want to finish off what we were talking about earlier in terms. I mean, we've been kind of alluding to the ownership of some of these ranges, but we didn't get to everyone. So just for reference point, in the $8,000 range right now, Lowry, Henley, I think number 1 and number 2. And then you have Zal, Cam Smith, and Bobby Mack, probably 3, 4, 5 in some order like that. Everyone else gets kind of squeezed primarily. No one's playing Hatton. Few people are playing Akshay. And then you have Min Woo, who I just think is hard to get to.
I think someone just said in the chat, where does Min Woo fit in this week? And I think he has to get squeezed at least somewhat.
Yeah.
Because I do think Henley's going to get the love. I still think Cantlay gets a little, but obviously Lowry takes from him. But people like Cantlay at 8,700.
Cantlay will project better than Lowry, so anyone who's using optimizers will have Patrick Cantlay over Shane Lowry.
I still have projections with Lowry getting more, so it's going to be Lowry.
But does that factor in the ownership, the projected ownership on each of them? That it would just automatically, if I would assume they're close. If Lowry's ahead
right
of it.
Now, initials have Lowry somewhere in like the 15 range, and it could go up. And it's got Cantlay somewhere in the 12 to 15 range. But again, he can get steamed as well if people decide that he's just much better for 8,700.
All that being said, I have Min Woo projected at 11% right now. I would wager with people that he's single digits.
And I would agree. I have him at 11.2. So I think it's going to go down.
Yeah. So I think that he's the guy who gets squeezed there. Then you have this range of Finau, Sahith, Wyndham Clark, Jason Day. No one be playing those guys because everyone's playing Straka right there. So Straka, Reed, Sergio, Berger, I think are your guys from that range.
Straka, Reed, Berger. Yep. That's Straka, Reed, Berger, but also Sergio.
And Sergio is, Reed, Sergio, and then Straka from the middle. I bet on him to win. Everyone's betting this guy to win. So if you wanted to.
Yeah. I was just going to say one thing quick because it's another thing that keeps coming up. I don't think there's any way to get away from us being correct on Reed and Sergio. But I think a lot of people are lumping Adam Scott and Justin Rose as if they're the same.
No.
Actually, they're kind of in the middle, and it literally is a 2v2, right? It's 73 and 71 versus 72 and 72. So that's a 2v2 in any lineup, and you have to have Rose and Scott coming in lower owned than Reed and Sergio combined.
Oh, 100%. Like I have both Rose and I have Scott at half the ownership of Sergio.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I agree. And that's where, but people are saying like, oh, Rose is chalk too. Scott is chalk too. Like they're not all chalk. Reed and Sergio are chalk, and especially the higher stakes you go. So
I think you'll see Keegan be higher owned than Rose or Scott.
So that's interesting because Rose and Scott both fit really well here and leave you 8,900 left for 4 guys.
So if we go down a little bit more, you mentioned JJ Spawn. People do like him. I don't think that he'll get to double digits when all is said and done because most people don't know who that is. Lucas Glover getting some steam from the bottom as well, as is Harris English. Again, not so much that it makes any sort of impact, but if you're on the fence and you're like, man, Harris English at 65 or I don't know. Who else is 65? You don't want to play Nick Dunlap to miss the cut might actually be the best bet of the week, by the way.
Who's the low am?
I don't know anything about these guys, so I'm going to abstain from talking about that. But let's say if it came down to Glover, Kirk, and Harris English. 2 of those guys are popular. One of them is Chris Kirk. I objectively like the other 2 better than Chris Kirk, but I'll take the guy who's like 5 times lesser owned than the other 2. It's the 6K range at the Masters with a bunch of old goobers.
Yeah, I kind of like English, I think, more than Kirk, but definitely like both over Glover right now.
I like Glover, but I don't know if I'm going to end up getting to him because I like the other guys. The guys that I have started, and that is the giveaway portion of this show. If you just comment in the comment section after this live is finished, who your favorite player in the $6,000 range is, that's how you get in. You sub to the channel, you smash like, and you share it around as well. Get you into those cash draws for coming up on Monday. But in the 6s, here's who I have highlighted. Dietrich, Spawn, Ben Ann being my favorite of those 3 plays. Phil, Michael Kim, and Kevin Yu.
Yeah, I like some more than others. Like I said, the Phil one worries me that he's going to make the cut but do nothing, right? Just do that, and that's going to be an issue. I think there's more risk in a guy like Kevin Yu, but I think there's the possibility to be the 66 plus, if you will. Going to keep using that one for the upside if he does come through. So the other thing is Denny and JT Poston both pop a little, show a little bit of ownership, but they're kind of in the middle of the 67 through 6,900 range people want to go to, or else people want to drop down to somewhere in that bottom range. So what do you think of those 2 guys?
I mean, no. Pass.
All right. That's good enough, I guess.
I'll play more expensive guys who also suck.
Fair. That's good. Pendrith, 6,700?
I'm just not in. Pendrith as a first timer here worries me because dude also can't chip.
Well, what if you just get Corey Connors for $1,200 cheaper? His past roommate.
Yeah, I get the logic behind that, but the reason that Connors ends up becoming so popular and why we've seen him do well here is that he's like a robot when it comes to ball striking. Pendrith isn't. Pendrith gets wayward. Pendrith is a much bigger hitter, which if he's rolling, it's way better than Connors. I feel like it goes sideways really easily.
Yeah, I guess some of the other takes would be like Benny Ann. I'm with you for sure. What if Brian Harman again? He doesn't win.
No, fuck that guy.
I think that's what people are thinking. And
good, they should. They should kick him off the tour. Is what they should do.
Yeah, for taking as long as he does.
Yeah, and well, he's missed each of his past 2 cuts at the Masters, and I've heard from people at the course who may or may not work for the tournament that organizers are on him. Like, we will penalize you if you don't hurry up, and I think it rattles him every time he gets here.
Yeah, it's possible. So, people must be a little pissed off at that. But I think in general, just the, coming off a win and then getting super cheap and then people not wanting to go to it. We've seen that in the past work. Little Birdie told me the top am is Ballister at the bottom, even before the chat just said it too. So that's why I asked you that question. But Ballister is 6,100. That's
who Sky said as well. And usually Sky is pretty in tune with these things. So I'll do, yeah, sure. Ballister. I don't want to play any of the AMs. When was the last, besides Bennett, when can you ever remember an AM actually being, I don't even think he was in the optimal when all was said and done because he had such a bad Sunday. But why waste, like, one of the easiest things that you can do if you want to have, like, not just be live, but not demolish your lineup the minute the Masters starts. Don't take anyone over 50 who's not Phil. And hell, you can even throw Phil into that if you want to. Don't take any amateurs. And if you're going to take someone at the very bottom, make sure it's Kevin Yu.
How old's Charles?
Chucky Schwartz? 45 maybe?
So we can take him. He's 6,200.
Yeah, I'm not taking Schwartzel. I've done that. Every time I take Schwartzel at the Masters, he comes dead last. Every time I don't use him, he comes third. So I'm not using him. Probably a good week to do it.
Man, you can get Schwartzel and Kevin Yu and make some sick lineups.
You want to do that? That's what you want to do this week?
I don't know. What does it look like? I'm not super high on that. I just know the chat really is excited about Charles, and you already
Good Lord, Charles Schwartzel is my age.
But did you see what he did last week, though?
I did. I watched it very intensely, what he did last week. He was good on Sunday last week.
Speaking of slow people, and last week, you posted about this. I've definitely posted. I think everyone did. You got to watch a lot more shots on that broadcast, by far. And then the Patrick Cantlay taking 5 minutes to line up a 3-foot putt to miss it. And then it goes in a completely different direction. Why do you only need 10 seconds or 30 seconds to line up the next one? It's still important. It's for another stroke, but no, doesn't need it. So what it proves is he never needs that time, and stop overthinking and hit your damn putt. That's what that means.
I would rather take Thirsty Lawrence, who sucks at 62, than Charles this week.
Wow. Bold.
Well, what's Charles going to do for you? Because you just mentioned, how do you construct a team that wins? Is Charles really going to be a part of that? I mean, we just saw Lawrence come top 5 at the Open in the last major that we played, and he has the right skills. He's just lost and horrible at the moment. So he probably shoots plus a million. But I feel like if you need to have someone who comes inside the top 5, I weirdly think it's more likely that it's Lawrence than it's Charles.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think the main point I was going to go back to is we don't need to do a Kevin Yu Charles lineup, because if that gets there, I mean, so be it. But you need they're the plus, and you need them to be the plus. They got to make it and do something to get both of them in there. Just because you juice up the top, there's a million different combinations of the 4 other golfers up at the top. So it's like that you need with it. So I just don't think you're going to end up landing on it. So picking one and running with it. And like the chat says, debutants shouldn't scare people. Ludwig broke that rule. Like Ludwig is an outlier.
I'm not worried about debutants because they haven't played here. I'm just worried about guys that might not be as good as maybe you perceive them as. Everyone thought Ludwig was going to be awesome. No shit, he comes in second. All of the guys that we thought were going to kind of be awesome have done well in their debuts. Zalatoris was fine. Sungjae was fine. Spieth was fine. But most of these guys just flame out their first year.
Yeah. Just value plays anyway we're talking. But if you went with one guy down low, like your guy Kevin Yu, I think there's something to be said on looking how to build differently. Instead of just putting Scotty and landing in that 7K range again, you can look at like the 3-9K build of some of the guys we talked about earlier. Like, I don't know who you like, but if it was like JT I like, you mentioned Neiman, well, that would leave you 8,300 now. So what are you getting in there? So you got Rahm in there instead of JT. There you go.
There you go. So let's go Rahm, Lowry, Neiman, Kevin Yu, Bobby Mack, Sergio. Just guys that I like this week. I mean, I'm not big on Neiman, but I like him the best of that bunch. Like, I have chalk guys in my lineup. I don't think this matters in this one.
And there's 100 left on the table, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it still projects pretty well. You got 2 guys sub 10%, a little bit of middling chalk, and then you're not chalky really at the top with Rahm versus the other guys around him, I should say.
And then if I do that again, I can take Neiman out and I can take Sergio out. I can play Ben Ann in that spot of Sergio, who I said I like the most of all the 6K guys. And that gets me to Xander or JT. So yeah. I'll throw in JT. So it's Rahm, JT, Lowry. That's my big 3.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll go to war with that.
I think it's fine. You're not really eating too much chalk there. Like you said, you got you and they're lower. You got, who knows where the squeeze job comes in on guys like JT, depending on if people go to the other guys around him or not. We'll have to wait and see. Rahm is lower of the bunch up top with Morikawa, Rory, Scheffler, and then Xander below him. And so, yeah, I think something like that is going to be fine, and it plays still pretty well from a projection standpoint also.
Am I crazy for playing 0 Morikawa this week?
Who knows? He could get super steamed tonight too, by the way.
I think that he is.
Yeah, I like the Rahm call there, and I like, again, you've got Ludwig above him, or even Rory and Scotty, that if they're not getting to 30, you're going to be able to take your stand on whichever guy you want to there. So,
well, here's what I want to do, because obviously there's a million different lineup combinations that we can make here and go through. We haven't built any Morikawa lineups. I think I'm going to say full fade on Morikawa. I'm just going to pick my poison, hope he comes in 13th or something, and then I'm fine as long as my guys in this range do a lot better. I'm not playing Ludwig. I don't care how low owned he gets. I'm not doing it. And then I need to figure out between Scheffler and Rory. But what I wanted to play, and I'm not playing Bryson either. So Scheffler, Rory, and Rahm. Can we build a lineup of 2 of those guys and make it work, do you think?
No, I thought you were going to say all 3.
No, I don't think all 3 is going to work.
Rory Rahm is definitely good. Like, you have 7,100. You don't even need to put you in there. You could put like your spawn play. You could kind of do whatever you wanted. Obviously, the 6K lineup, you got to get more aggressive.
So let's try that. Let's go Scheffler, Rom. It leaves you with 6,800. So we can go Kevin Yu, Ben An. And now we have just over 7,000 for 2 more players. That's like Dietrich Sergio, which I don't hate.
You should be able to get more than that.
You can get Spawn Reed if you wanted to.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You could get Straka.
I would go with Dietrich and Scott. You mentioned Scott earlier to make the cut no matter what. Like that's a different version of it. Not Sergio chalk. Still projects well and keeps you with probably 4 guys under 10% with Rom lower at the top. So it's another way to get different with Scotty. And again, 3 6K guys. It's really like you're playing 3 7K guys because Ann and Dietrich are right there, and then you just has to come through. That's how that looks.
Are you that concerned about having, because you say you have 5 guys who might be under 10%. That's great and everything. But let's say you had 3 chalk guys in your lineup. Do you think that's really the end of the world?
Not at the Masters, no.
Yeah. So I think that although we do harp on that a lot, I think it's less important this week than most weeks.
Also, it's only some combinations and then what you do with the rest of the version of it. Like if you're playing Sergio and Reed together and then going with 1 or 2 chalk guys at the top, obviously you're probably drawing dead. There's just too many versions that are so close to that you're really hard to find your way up there. Even if they all come through, you need a lot more to come through with it. Like they need the full finish. They need everything. So if you're doing that, you could get, but if you're playing Sergio and Reed, but then going to Ludwig, Victor Hovland, well, yeah, I mean, you're just, it's not who you play, it's how you play them. You're playing what our guy DGen would call donkey chalk, but you're playing it with completely low-owned options at the top to try and at least get different, where most people are going to have a one of Scotty, Morikawa, Rory, something like that, Xander in with those options. So you're just getting a little bit different that way.
Trying to figure out one. I want everyone, if you do have questions for Tambo and I right now, dump them in the chat. We'll get them in about 2 or 3 minutes. I am doing a live chat this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network. So bring all your final questions to that. Maybe we can make some plays together. And then a brand new show, King of the Draft, with Spencer and Joel, is debuting immediately after live on MMN. So smash the like, share this show around right now, and tune in tonight. If you got any more Masters juice left in you, I'm running on I lost my phone charger for myself, Tambo. I'm running on 11% battery right now. When you see me tonight, I'll be at 2% battery, and then I'll just be crapped out by the end of it, and I'm going straight to bed. But I want to build this lineup before we get to people's questions. Justin Thomas, Neiman, Fleetwood as a start.
Yeah. So do you want to put ooh, that could be interesting.
If I do it that way, it leaves us with 7,300 for 3 guys. Does it matter who we play chalk-wise down below? Even if Thomas, Neiman, and Fleetwood are somewhat popular, that's not a combo anyone has.
No, you don't need to over leverage it, but I think there's a really interesting way to go if you pick Zal, Dietrich, Ann, for example, and you skip the 7s.
I was going to say,
you're just the chalk congregation anyway.
I was actually going to say that doesn't necessarily work, because I was going to try to find a way to fit in DJ, and it leaves $100 on the table. I was going to go Straka and DJ.
And then Dietrich.
No, just the Straka and Dustin Johnson. Sorry.
Oh, it sounds like Straka and Dietrich, but it is Straka and Dietrich with Ann. I got you now. Straka and Dietrich. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not Dietrich. It's Straka. It's Seb Straka, Ben Ann, and Dustin Johnson.
Sorry. Yeah. That's what I meant. Okay. Yeah. So that leaves the $100 on the table. It's okay. Yeah.
If Dustin just gets there, let's say Dustin comes 3rd, which isn't inconceivable. Then all of a sudden it's oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm looking for lineups with less 7K guys in the 476,000 person tournament.
Okay.
So that's why I came up with that version. If you go Ann, Dietrich, Zal was one example. It's a way that you can really separate yourself, and there's not much difference in what you're doing as long as these guys come through instead of the other.
What if I use Minwoo and I take out, I had Spawn in. So Spawn Dietrich doesn't work. Who was the other guy down here I liked? Michael Kim.
Yeah.
So you go Michael Kim, Ben Ann, Minwoo Lee with Thomas, Neiman, and Fleetwood.
And you get Michael Kim.
Yeah, and you could 2v2 Michael Kim and Minwoo Lee for Shane Lowry and Kevin Yu if you wanted to.
Michael Kim and Minwoo. Yeah, that would be okay. So Lowry is your 4th guy in. That's almost never going to happen. In the grand scheme of things, if you could leverage this, that's not going to be very popular. And then you're using you, but not going to a 10K or above guy. You see where some of these lineups, this is what people don't always put together, is this lineup. Well, you can make a case or make fun of or do whatever you want with a bunch of different guys. You could even put JT to Xander if you like him better and you feel like he's going to be more popular, but he's the guy that's going to take out Scotty and Rory if someone does.
Fuck, you could take Neiman into Brooks if you wanted to.
You can do whatever you want is my point. And it's because nobody using Lowry, well, not nobody, I was exaggerated, but very few people are using Lowry and they'll say everyone's using him. Right. But how many people are using him as their fourth guy in their lineup? That's where roster construction comes into play. And how many people are playing Kevin Yu and have nobody 10K or above this week when there's Rom, Kawa, Scotty, and McElroy even leaving Ludwig out of the conversation? That's the difference.
Yeah, the other way to play this one, I think, the only other like preferred option I think I would have, because we don't have a ton of chalk in this lineup, so I could add some if I wanted to, that we re-import that one right now and we take out Jocko and Fleetwood, and let's see if this works. Yeah, it's Rom, Bobby Mack. So Thomas, Rom, Bobby Mack, Lowry, Ben and Kevin Yu.
Love that. Again, you're still different. You're still... So there's no one can question this. Oh, what if Scotty and Rory don't win? Well, could Rom win? Yes. Could Xander win? Yes. People are betting on Bobby Mack to win. People think Lowry's from that upper tier and is just a 7K guy that's not in the 7Ks. You still have no 7K guys. So if Kevin Yu does anything, or whoever your guy is down below, if he can come through as the plus and the other stuff goes your way, nobody has this type of bit. Like very few people have a 10K with 2 8s, no 7s at all. And where Shane Lowry is your third guy in still. He's mostly the second guy in.
Kevin Yu right now in this field over the past 24 rounds, 12th off the tee, 7th in approach, 3rd in eagles. Like that's the profile I want if I'm taking a scrub at the Masters.
Yeah. Frank says,
a guy who comes T37 but scores the 17th most DraftKings points. Like he is that profile.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. He might even get a little bit of late steam, but the point is if it does, you're playing for if it does. If it doesn't work out, it's just another lineup of your others that go in the trash too.
Like I say, I lose 99% of my lineups every week anyway. It doesn't really matter. I'd rather take the chance on a guy with substantial upside, and I do feel like he has that.
I kind of like that lineup with my boy Jaeger Bombs over you, just as a separate version.
I'll let you win your $100 back because I hate Jaeger this week.
He probably sucks, but
I'll go you versus Jaeger.
Yeah, it's like a hedge for me because I definitely have more you. I just thought when I saw it right there when we were talking about there's no Scotty in the lineup, but don't forget who the Scotty killer is. Steven Jaeger.
Jaeger Bombs.
He scared him. He didn't even have to make his own putt to win, but he forced Scotty to miss by all the intimidation factors. So Steven Jaeger's the guy, man. Jaeger Bombs.
Yeah, and David English in the chat says that I think you brought this one up. Debutants shouldn't scare people. Ludwig, he didn't break the rule. He didn't fucking win. That's the whole thing about debutants, is that you don't bet him to win.
It's more of a betting thing, yes, but also to that point, I just still wouldn't classify it because like Ludwig is Ludwig. He's literally amazing, and it's not going to be like, you're not going to find that very often. We're not comparing that when we're talking about a guy like Taylor Pendrith as a value play on DraftKings. He's not Ludwig Oberg. Like he's not.
You got to be sub to Mayo Media Network in order to ask a question in this chat. And I think, Tambo, by the end of this show, if you're watching and you haven't subbed to the network right now, please do it. I think we'll be over 50,000 subs if people do that right now.
Oh, live 50K. Let's go.
A live 50K would be very nice.
I'm refreshing. I'm moving over. What I was going to say is Frank said in the chat, I would just say that point he mentioned about Sepp, better suited for Augusta or PGA Championship. Obviously, the way he's playing, he could be suited for anywhere. His game definitely translates, so that's fine. But just don't forget about that if he doesn't come through here. That's what ends up happening, right? He doesn't come through at the Masters. People think he's a loser, and then he ends up crushing it next major round or something when nobody's on him. So just keep that stuff in mind. Always remember it.
Let's see. David again asked, Dave's got a lot of questions. You smashed the like, pal. What concerns me about live players is that they only have 3 rounds instead of 4. Is that a valid concern? I don't think so.
No.
Wouldn't worry about that.
It's an excuse. If it doesn't happen, that's what somebody leans back on. Well, I told you it's because it's like if Charles beats Kevin Yu this week. Well, we told you in the chat, Charles was the guy to play. And then you go look and he got there from a hole out eagle and a bunch of chip, like shit, crazy stuff happens. It's golf. But, we're playing it with a process going in, essentially, is the idea here.
Who is your hole-in-one bet? I make bad bets. I make fucking stupid bets, so I'm not doing that. Cantlay or Lowry? I bet Lowry to win. He's my favorite play, so I'm playing Lowry.
Is it Corey Connors for the hole-in-one bet?
Is that the guy how many hole-in-ones does he have at the Masters? 2?
I don't know. Does he? I'm just saying, I feel like he gets a hole-in-one all the time. So, it's probably Shane Lowry. He already has one. He's got it all the iconic spots. It'll be at a different hole or something this time. Who knows? But I think
I like that narrative that he can go. He's gone to all of these courses that are the ones that you remember in your mind forever, and he has hole-in-ones at the mall. Why not here?
But doesn't he already have it on 16 at the Masters? That's one of the iconic ones he has. So it's like who knows? But yeah, that's definitely something.
Yeah, Bryson has one on 16 too. Sergio has missed his last 2 cuts like Harman, and ownership makes him an easy fade for so many golfers who are legit golfers. I mean, I get that people don't watch live. I think that's the weird thing. I think like within our community, everyone's talking about Sergio because they see how well that he's playing. But to the general public, people are like, fuck this guy. He sucks.
Yeah, we'll see. I feel like even in like my brother and my, his friend group, we're in like a one and done draft type style that we do in house. And even they were like, didn't you see Sergio at Live last week? So I don't know. I feel like the general public's already there. It was on Fox too. It had almost 500K viewers on Fox. So I'm sure people saw it.
They almost got up to TGL numbers.
TGL, you just take the average to the first 2 weeks of the highest marketing ever mixed with the 100K and 200K weeks at the end. But they did 500K.
Hey, if we're talking about Live and they got to 500K, we don't want to be taking the average of Live.
Oh, certainly not. I'm not vouching for that. I'm just saying it's funny how the ratings to me are all shambles anyway, because when people are like, oh, can you believe 1.7 million people tuned into Brian Harman waggle all the way to the finish line? I can believe that my dad turned on the same channel he has every year for the past 10 years and just let it sit on the TV and count as a rating. It's whatever. It's the same shit. Nobody watches it. Nobody.
Eric wants to throw in Tom Hoagie. I'll take a pass on Tom Hoagie at the Masters.
Scoring upside if he gets through, though.
Listen, he might add, if you can bet him to be like lowest guy in the field one of the 4 rounds, that's probably the only time. Just play him in showdown every day until he misses the cut. So you don't have to play him the first 2 days. But he can't drive and he can't chip. That's a real issue for Augusta.
It is.
What's overhyped during the Masters that hinders DFS strategy? What should we ignore? When should we ignore the noise? I don't know. That's more of a you question than a me question.
Like a lot of things, like trees being removed from the course, like literally, obviously that can help and hurt and do different things, but it could help somebody as much as it could throw somebody else off their game. I'm used to seeing this there. So like things like that, what we focus on at Ship It Nation, what you and I focus on when we get to the DFS section and DraftKings is building lineups accordingly, knowing what the field is doing and playing it against them. When you're using Saber Sim with contest sims and things like that, they're all looking at what is the field doing and what's the best way to exploit that and beat it. All that other stuff, there's great podcasts and great people out there to discuss that with you. But anything I'm doing is always going to be focused around playing the actual game of DFS and trying to win as much money as possible for me. And if not me, for you. So that's how I would say that.
All right. So what else do we got here chat wise? Big Dick Vic build with Cantlay and Henley. Oh my God. If that happens, I'm going to lose all my money.
A lot of people will, because like I said, everyone's overextended for the Masters. And if that type of thing happens, that's when people are like, well, how would I have ever got to that? You wouldn't have, even if you had 500 plus lineups. So it's tricky from that perspective.
There's going to be 3,000 ads in next week's show if that lineup hits.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember when DJ was 12K. I remember too. The question you had about Sepp, like, is he better suited for Augusta or the PGA Championship? I don't know that answer in particular. I do think he is perfectly set up for Portrush. I have that bet in. 100-1 Seb Straka to win the Open. Yeah, and if I like him to win the Open, I kind of see the Masters versus the PGA and US Open for him.
It feels that way. That's what I was going to say. It feels like a lot of that stuff comes over. And again, his game translates for sure, whether or not it's this week or not. But I do feel like a lot of people move off after one thing goes away. And then if it's this week that it happens, then that's kind of the issue.
Let's see here. McNeely, do you trust him to perform? I don't. No. Do you?
It's tough. He's Sergio price, though.
Yeah, Sergio's better. Although McNeely's the number 10 in the world rankings right now, Sergio's the better player right now.
Yeah, that's going to be the issue. And the chat just asked about Keegan, and that range though, Pat, is everybody we talked about. It can't be everyone. Reed, Sergio, Berger, Keegan, those 4. Then you got Scott and Rose. And so we just know what the pivots are. Like it's DJ, it's Sung Jae, it's Matt Fitzpatrick, who you mentioned, and then the 7K guys if you like Cam Young or whatnot, or Davis Thompson.
Or the move is just say, you know what? I can't pick between these 4 guys. If I don't think that any of them legitimately have a shot of winning, just play none of them and play the guys on either side. Then your lineups will be inherently different no matter what you do. Yeah,
and if 3 of them don't come through anyway, and one of them's not really needed, you kind of alleviated yourself from all those potential landmines versus trying to figure out which one and then still landing on it. You know what I mean?
Reminder again, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, Mayo Media Network. I will just be hammering out questions. Anything you got. So if you miss it right now, then you can come back later if you got the time. Jake asked, how about 2 10Ks, 1 9, and 3 6? Would that be different? Yes, that would be very different.
Yeah, anything without 2 or more 7K guys is going to be different.
First round leaders outside of Rose. I went over that at 32.58 in this show. Off the top of my head, it was Reed and Rose, Ben Ann, JJ Spawn, and Kevin Yu. Those were the 5. Nailed it. Boom. Although I was thinking about, I didn't do it, but Spieth or Lowry as first round leader makes a lot of sense to me too.
Yeah, I was trying to, you made me think of something because the Reed Rose, this is always the Reed, Rose, Rom, Rory, like the R's that always come. Ricky used to be a guy that would come through. It was always the R's that would be popping up. I was trying to see if there was any other R's down here that we could get into the lineups, but I don't see many.
Daniel Berger being overlooked. I don't think that he's being overlooked. I think people are just going to play Daniel Berger.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he's being overlooked either. I think what's happening is that whole area is being held in check outside of Sergio and Reed, who are going to be more in the higher stakes. That's what I would see.
Someone's asking about Poston. Not for me at Augusta. You?
I do have interest. Like we didn't talk about him at all. That's the interesting thing to me versus like him and McCarthy are being skipped over by the guys above and below. And that's why I'm wondering if they would make sense.
I mean, they might make sense in your lineup because no one plays them. I wouldn't play them because I don't think they're going to play well at the Masters.
That would be fair. That's your that's what you said earlier, and that's what you're sticking to. So it makes sense.
Tim P says, "Are we staying away from Mr. Finau?" I don't know yet. I could see him playing well, and no one's using him.
Feels weird because I was just trying to pull it up earlier when I saw that question. I forgot to circle back, but he used to be a thing at the Masters. He's still not missed any cuts, but remember it was like 10th, 5th, 10th over 3 or 4 years there, and that was at the same time Connors was doing his like 10th, 8th, 6th thing. And now it's kind of been the last 2 years. You look at it, and Finau, 26th and 55th versus a 38th and a missed cut for Connors. Yet it's all in on Connors in this spot because of recent form only, specifically, which is fine. I love recent form. I'm just saying that's kind of the interesting nugget when you go to the course history stuff.
I mean, that's a pretty 1v1 pivot tailor made for you right there.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned earlier, like who's the guys that come out of nowhere and bounce back at something like this. It's Finau, recently 32nd, 56th. They're not phenomenal results and don't compare anywhere near Corey Connors. But before that and Corey Connors' little run, it was a 5th and a 13th. We're talking a month and a half, 2 months ago. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it actually plays out. But it is somewhat interesting.
Travis asks, do the cool bet submissions for the prizes for the giveaway, the trip to Montreal or to Toronto, not to Montreal, to Toronto, does that stop after the tournament starts, or can you still bet it during the tournament? You can bet it all tournament long. It also extends into the Heritage next week too. So you just hit the description right now. There's a direct link to it. If you live in Canada but not in Ontario, then you can qualify for this. It's just open to my fellow Canadians who don't live in that hellhole of Ontario where I lived for 15 years and loved it, but no longer live there. So for coolbet.com, you go onto it. For every $10 that you bet after you opt in to the PME giveaway, you get a ballot into the draw. It's as easy as that, and you might be able to finagle some nice odds up there. I got 2 separate boosts. You can still get Shane Lowry at 40-1 over at CoolBet, and it really does help out this show, and you might get a 5K trip out of it. For everyone else who wants the cash giveaways worldwide, prestige worldwide, wide. $1,000 giveaway in cash given out this Monday. You hit the description. There's a newsletter link there. It tells you every way that you can get ballots into it, and we'll just randomly pick 5 dudes. It'll be easy. How are you feeling about playing Sungjae over Reed as a pivot? I don't like that. I would just blow up my lineup and find a 2v2 rather than a 1v1.
That's certainly something. I always like Sungjae, so I'm in. But I would say that I think a lot of people think you just have to pivot, and you're allowed to just change your roster construction completely. Like you don't have to just 1v1 pivot everybody in your lineup. Some of these good pivots are, we talked about them, but you don't have to you're still building in the same cycle or roster construction everybody else is when you're doing that. So you don't have to do a 1v1 pivot.
Is there a player who's great off the tee and on approach, but horrible around the green that you're skeptical of? Yes. Ludwig and Bryson and Victor. Those 3.
Yeah. All fit.
Yeah. One of them will play great and make me look stupid. And I think 2 of them will perform poorly. So I'm just going to fade all 3 of them. Which of the Højgaard twins is best suited for the Masters? Well, if I'm going to say that Bryson was a benefactor of circumstance last year. I can't sit here and tell you that Nikolai, who melted down at exactly the same time as Bryson did last year, he was leading the Masters on Saturday, Nikolai Højgaard, that maybe he also took advantage of the conditions as well, and that's why he did so well, and the moment it firmed up, he sucked again. So I'm just going to fade both Højgaards, I think.
Good with that.
Great show. Nate knows. Smash the like, Nate. Get some Skims. Oh, we didn't play it. Did we figure out the all? We've totally fucking forgot about the all Skims lineup.
There was some notes in there. It was definitely Glover and Lowry were the main two that stood out.
Glover, Lowry, the saggy ball needs some support lineup. Skims.
It's got to be Rahm up top though. I don't care.
Rahm's like 30 years old, man. He hasn't got saggy balls. He's got sweaty balls. That's fine.
Yeah, we were mixing it up though. I mean, you're not
Jason Day is in this lineup. All right, he's even walking around in fucking MC Hammer pants. He needs some Skims to tighten it up underneath.
All right, I'm good with that. But I mean, up top, who else are you going to go to? You gotta call like one of these young guys old at some point.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah, I guess Rahm with his heftiness would be the guy.
Yeah, it's got to be Rahm.
You got long balls, Larry.
And then how old is Straka?
Straka looks like he's 45, but he probably isn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Seb Straka is 31 years old.
Yeah, so you almost run into that issue again because who else is it going to be?
I mean, Henley's not a young man.
No, it could be Henley.
DJ.
DJ fits it.
Adam Scott. Justin Rose is on this team.
All right.
It only leaves $2,000 on the table. It's fine. Glover, Day, Lowry, Rahm, DJ, Rose.
Glover, Day, Lowry, Rahm, and you got move off Henley for DJ. There you go. Perfect. It actually projects some of the other shitty lineups that we built. So that's funny. Even with leaving the money, and there's upgrade territory, but we cannot upgrade the guy because he has saggy sack, and we got to keep him in there. So
yeah, the saggy sack Skims lineup. If you don't want to have a saggy sack, you go and do whatever I told you in the thing. Skims.com is where you want to be. I think it's Pat Mayo is the promo code.
Pat Mayo.
Yeah, promo code Pat Mayo with Skims. Get yourself a discount and make sure your nuts are all hugged tightly and not slapping against your thighs. Skims getting out of everyone who bought ads this week. Skims is really getting the extra rub.
They are. It's perfect. We literally named a lineup after them this week, so they gotta love it.
But you won't get extra rub if you wear Skims.
That's right.
Have you talked about Glover? Hopped on late? Yes, I like Glover.
Talked about him. Yep.
I'm playing Stars and Scrubs. Who do you like in the 62 to 66? If you've committed to playing Stars and Scrubs yet don't know who you like in the 6K region, I would suggest maybe building another lineup.
Yeah, we talked a ton about 6K guys though, so you can mix and match them in there. There's like 10 guys that we've mentioned. Whoever you want to plug in.
Yeah, you, Ben, and Lucas Glover. There you go. John, shout out John. I believe he was at Live last week too. Says your R type thing. You got to pick the R guys. Maybe Aaron Rye is the first round leader.
I got him in there.
There you go.
I made that lineup happen. I somehow landed on Rafael Campos as stone minimum price, but it's interesting. It could be like a thing because someone at the same time in the chat said, "Is Campos a sneaky play to make the cut?"
No,
I was like,
no, he's not.
Probably not. And he has Camp in his last name. Shout out to my guy Sam. But yeah, he's probably just in that camp of Campos. But I landed on him. It felt like it was meant to be, so I played it.
Most Eagles market, quick discussion. No, like if this is where you're looking, call that helpline down in the fucking description. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Make the cut parlays. There you go.
Make the cut parlays is where you need to be. To spend all your money on that this week. What mid-range bum should I bet and probably lose money on? Henley or Connors? I wouldn't bet either of those guys to win. Bet
Agreed.
Bobby Mack.
Yeah, like that.
Like if you want a mid-range loser who's not going to win, bet on Seb Straka with the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. Bobby Mack would be the way. I like that.
Are you limiting the amount of live golfers per lineup?
No. Not ruling anything out. I know people that do that type of stuff. Like if someone knew the magic number, great, but you don't know it. So, one thing I will say is they are going to get a artificial bump. Like there is going to be like a 2 to 3% boost on all these guys just because people don't get to play them a lot. They want to have them in their lineups. The casual players that are like, oh, I get to play DJ again. My guy, I used to play him a lot. He's cheap. Like there will be that kind of thing, but I'm not setting up rules when I'm building against it.
High stakes single entry. How much chalk are you eating in that sort of contest, Tambo?
I think there's something to be said there. I saw this question. It's a good one, but it's going to be more subjective because one of the things is people forget it's like a single entry is different than having one entry. And I know Bobby mentioned single entry. So it's like whatever you're playing in, it's higher stakes. The chalk is going to be more chalk. And remember that the guys that moonwalk backwards, if you will, shout out again to our guy DGen, that would be the case where we mentioned it earlier. I forget who you nailed it on somebody earlier, Pat, where you're like, it's just not going to be, Minwoo. Even though he might show as like currently 10% projected ownership in the flagship tournament, because everyone gets their shares of everyone and let Minwoo cook and all this. Once you get to the high stakes and people have so much more Lowry and so much more Henley and Bobby Mack and Connors, a guy like Minwoo just goes backwards. So just keep that in mind. I would say like you can eat maybe 2 guys, and then I would try and get a little bit different with the other 3 or 4, 2 to 3 guys, and get different with the other 3 to 4. That's how I look at it.
If you had to build around one of the studs, if it was of the top 5 guys, which one do you think you're building around for high stakes single entry?
Probably Scotty or Rom.
I think that's where I'm at too. AJ says this is the perfect Hideki week. He's had bad form, no signs of life. This is when he usually wins.
Yep, for sure. I don't hate it. Like I said, and the other part about him is even whatever the general public thinks, there's still JT lovers. There's Xander love because he's too cheap and he used to be with those guys last year. There's the Fleetwood, Lowry, Spieth, and there's all kinds of guys to pull from him. So I think that's an interesting one as well.
Yeah, you talked me into I sort of talked myself into using a guy from that range of 4 at the low 9s, and I landed on Neiman. I might just make it Neiman and Hideki and not play Xander.
Yeah, that's fine too.
And just open up that spot for my team. Thoughts on Brian Harmon? Fuck that guy.
We went through that already. Yep.
Yeah, missed the cut parlay. I did. Listen, this sounds like the most obvious thing in the world. This guy, David, hits on it. Not Cam Young, who is. I wouldn't throw Cam Young into this. I'd throw Nick Dunlap. I think Nick Dunlap is the strongest player with like reasonable odds to miss the cut this week. Homa, Cam Young, Bubba is 5-1 with a boost to miss the cut. Already went over how difficult it actually is to miss the cut. And to put 3 of them together is super tough.
Yeah, I agree. And also one of those guys of Homa and Young is going to make the cut.
Sam mentioned too. No, in our long balls lineup, we didn't have Phil in it. He really should have been in it.
Yeah, the problem is it's a hard one to validate because the guys up top are all younger than you actually think. And so it's hard to give them the saggy sack of the year award.
Oh, this is a terrible question. Do you like first-time Masters players? I like some. I don't like others. Perfect. Moving on. Thanks for the show. Can't wait to build tonight. Shout out to you, Ryan. Thanks for always tuning in. Let's see. JT to win week. These are no longer questions. Dustin has the last question until 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on this channel. Is a Scotty Rory lineup viable this week? Do you think?
Is it possible to build? Yes.
Is it viable?
No. You have 6,600 left. You're going to the same guys everybody else is, the same range. You need to take out like 40 real golfers up the middle. So no. Scotty, and they almost never duel. And even if they do, there's going to be other guys in the mix with them, and things will happen. It almost never happens. If it does, I still don't think you're going to get it right. So you'd have to go like all in on that or something.
Yeah, the lineup looks like this. It's Scotty, Rory, and the 4 guys that we've been kind of talking about all show from the 6s. Kevin Yu, JJ Spawn, Ben and Lucas Glover. Then you're left with no money. Like that lineup sucks. Even I know that lineup sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm playing it in the Million Maker.
All right.
There we go. All right, dude. There's a marathon. What's going on at Ship It today?
We got a lot. Yeah, a couple things going on right now. If you check it out, we wanted to make sure we had sort of the best price out just to try a month out. A lot of people that probably watch this throughout the year, or those that are coming around for the first time say, I want to check your stuff out, but it's not maybe in the budget or whatnot. So $24 for the first week. It's an ode to our guy, DGen75. We used his code. So DGen75, just a different one for this week only, but you can try out a month of Ship It Nation for $24, including SaberSim. To give it a shot, you got UFC this weekend, you got the Masters, all the showdown contests, but it's a whole month. You're in the Discord. You're going to see what it's worth and why we're making it something a lot bigger than some probably think out there in the rest of the industry. But the golf cannot lie. You can go look at the screenshots at Ship It Nation on X from last week. A ton of members getting the job done and taking it down with Ship It Nation logos.
FantasyNational.com/Mayo get you 20% off the Masters discount. You can go do that right now. But to support this show, code Mayo at Underdog. We already walked through. You can play the make the cut, miss the cut stuff up there if you live in a state where that doesn't happen. So you should probably go do that. And you get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. The cool bet giveaway for all of my friends in Canada, outside Ontario. All this stuff goes such a long way. And if you're going to bet anyway on the Masters and you live in that place, why not do it for the same odds, but you might win a $5,000 trip at the same time. It's the easiest sell in the world. I know it sucks having to make a new account somewhere if you're not there, but CoolBet, my pals there, they pay out like within half an hour as well when you withdraw, which is fantastic news and not really the industry standard. It usually takes a lot longer than that, but we are so close to being number one in the US, New Zealand, Canada, at the top of the charts on Apple Podcasts. If you have never rated and reviewed this show on Apple Podcasts, please go do that right now. That would really help us out. Just be able to have the marketing of us being number one in the US, in Canada, and rising up to the very top of the sports rankings as well is a huge thing. We passed First Take yesterday. People care about the Masters. People watch this show for the Masters. And I'll be back to thank all of you at 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday evening on Mayo Media Network Live. But I'll do it now in case you don't tune into that. Thank you all for watching this week. I'll see you next time.